Oh, I forgot. It's so true. Everyone forgets, and then it's that time of the week again, and then we have to do it all over again. That's
Yeah. That's the beauty of it, right?
That is the beauty of it. It is every week, unless there are unforeseen consequences, and then it's the next week. But it's Happy New Year,
Wow.
Gio.
Happy New Year, Prude.
How are
I'm
you?
looking for the to retweet the oh my god. Did you put the Telegram post out?
No, I changed it to Rumble.
Oh.
So we're on Twitter, Telegram, or Twitter, Twitter, Rumble, and YouTube. But hello, everybody. Happy New Year to chat. This is our first time saying hello to you all as well. So it's a good time.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh,
how was your holidays, Gio?
Oh, it was good. Past few years, I would say the past 3 years hasn't been that great during the the clowndemic and other personal things, but this year was pretty good. Um, I'm trying to find the tweet. I'll retweet it. Yeah, this year was pretty good. I spent some time with the GF. Here's okay. She got me a bunch of art books and the shirt, but here's one thing she got me, and she said I had to do it for the meme. Okay, this is what she got me right.
The dissident soaps.
Yeah. It also came with like other ones. Let me read you some of the names. Okay, let me read you some of the names. I know this is like Turbo LARP. This is Turbo LARP. I think I used the Crusader.
Your girlfriend gives you a nice gift, and you're like, "This is a Turbo LARP."
Oh no, the
names. Looking a gift horse in the mouth there, buddy.
Healer, Minuteman, Mask Off, Brewmaster, and I believe the one I used was a Crusader. This is a sample pack, but no, it was a great, it was a pretty good Christmas. I remember she gave it to me. I was just laughing at the names, because it's like yeah. But it was pretty. What's this one called? She got me, that's right. Yeah. The Fulton J. Sheehan priest soap. It's got a little Fulton J. Sheehan on there.
Yeah, look at that.
So there you go. Great present. She got me a bunch of art books too, and I got her some other stuff. I felt kind of bad because
was your Christmas gift you just border hopping to the United States and being with her?
No, I got her some.
I'm your gift, honey, and
I got some specifically Canadian presents, like a scarf, like a thermal scarf, and a lot of other stuff. But yeah, it was pretty good. But you were traveling in the new year.
Yeah, I went across the United States to North Carolina. So I drove halfway across the country, and honestly, it was really beautiful. I drove like 1,000 miles to where I was at to see some friends and family, and it was a good time. It was really beautiful to drive through Tennessee and Arkansas, and I had tweeted out that I thought Arkansas gets a lot less credit than it gets on the beauty scale than people realize. And everyone's like, well, the Ozarks are great, then everything else is trash. And I'm like, I appreciate like these tiny little lumber towns and timber towns that are out there, because it's just people that have probably been there for like decades, and it's not really the Rust Belt because it's the timber belt, so to speak. But you can drive down these like 2,000 population towns, and there's like 8 different kind of like Protestant denomination churches there, and everyone gets along. And it's like a one road town, and there's beauty to that. I think there's something uniquely American to it. I mean, we're a far more car-based country than other parts of the world, or even Canada for that matter. And I drove through Oak Ridge, Tennessee, so where like the Manhattan Project stuff was at. And they had the museum there. I stopped there for a little bit, and it was particularly like, not to go all Schwab sphere for a minute, but like as soon as like entering Oak Ridge, and you could see all the like giant steam smokestacks for the nuclear reactors and such, I could feel a distinctly strange aura, like something is terribly wrong here. It was very strange.
Oh yeah.
And then of course I went through Cherokee National Forest, which was really beautiful. Like, I wish I took pictures. I really did. I should have stopped more and done that. But it was It was a wonderful place. And then North Carolina was great. Lake Norman's a great place to fish, and just to sit on a boat for hours on end. It wasn't too cold, so it was nice to just sort of be all nicely dressed and out and such. And
Prude, shut the fuck up! All those
hey, Javier Oliva, last name Olivia, get the fuck out of my country.
No, we respect our friend Javier, a good fan of ours, but I mean, are those towns shitholes?
Get the fuck out. Get the fuck out.
I mean, let's be honest, Prude. A lot of those towns, I mean, even here in Ontario,
we're gonna have nice, cozy Americana discussions, and this faggot over here is gonna ruin it. No, fucking done. Get out. Get out. We're done.
Prude going off, man. Anyways, continue your story.
Don't ruin my goddamn cozy. Don't ruin it.
Oh,
don't ruin it. You've ruined it. Fucking asshole.
We could talk about reindustrialization later, but anyways, go ahead, Prude.
It's ruined. Go off. Go talk something else. It's over.
Oh,
it's ruined.
No.
It's ruined.
It's not ruined, Prude.
It's ruined. Go talk about something else.
Okay, what are we going to talk about? Well, okay,
I don't know. I'm now going to cut that entire bit out.
You met Semag.
Yeah. I did. I sure did. Walked away with boxes full of books that are now sitting at my side. But
nice.
It's a good time.
Where does he live? I guess you don't want to.
I'm from an undisclosed location out in the middle of nowhere with a good line of sight with rifles. I literally had turned into his place and I saw where he was at, and I just texted at the edge of where his long winding road to a parking lot, and I was just like, well, I hope this is your place, because if not, someone's shooting me. But yeah.
Oh,
it was a good time. So we does Semi seem like an elf IRL? Yes. And so we were just sitting there smoking hand-rolled cigarettes and on a space.
How tall is Semag?
He is 6'1".
Oh, that's all. That's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. So
how was his GF?
I did not meet the famous French frog, although
I thought I heard her in the background when we were doing the D space.
No, we were imitating her.
Oh, you weren't entertaining anybody?
No. She was there, and he wasn't there, but instead, because he has a bunch of gardens in his place, and this will be as much as I'll go off into it, but he's like, I have all these illustrations, hand-drawn illustrations of what the garden looks like at squatting level point of view that she had illustrated to help understand what kind of garden he goes on there.
Whoa.
And it was just funny. I was like, wow, you really did marry, or you're going to marry this really autistic woman. So good for you.
I like to see those.
They're really well done.
Illustration.
And then we spent an hour before the D space just trying to come up with a right-wing game show.
Yeah, the one you described was kind of convoluted and not very not convoluted, but it requires listening to hours and hours of your favorite e-celeb to know what his opinion on is everything.
Well, exactly the point, because you cater to the people that give you money. And I'm sorry, we cater to the people here on the show that give you money, because we have so many regular people on here. But yeah. Please convince them to come to the event this year. Well, that may change. That may change.
No, it's true. It's true. It's just that how would you do it anonymously over Twitter Space?
Oh, I don't think you would have to do it over Twitter Space. We were saying StreamYards.
Yeah, but you'd have to hook it up to a Discord or something.
Well, no, you just have everyone in there. I told them, I said, listen, everyone's going to collude. And, if to avoid collusion, you just make it a live game show.
True.
So that's why it would be easier to just treat it more like a Family Feud type deal, but you're trying to, or What's My Line type deal than it is anything else. But
they could have another screen open or whatever.
They could, but imagine trying to figure out what Morgoth's take on something was from 5 years ago.
Oh yeah, that would be impossible. When you're trying to do it,
impossible. That's
you
why
have to have a time
show.
Limit. Yeah, maybe every answer would have to be 60-second time limit or something like that. So
something like that.
Yeah.
Interrupting. Oh, we're not talking about that show. Geo can, but not here.
Oh, you mean a fish tank? Yeah.
Yeah.
They have what's that? That they got that black DJ. His name is Charlton White, and they got him on the show now, and he's like causing all sorts
Excuse
of
me,
chaos.
a black DJ named Charlton White?
Yeah,
I have no idea who any of these people are, but I'm sure it sounds like a good time.
I think Nick Roachford also joined them, so we'll see.
Well,
but anyways, what is so? But you were mentioning all these little Rust Belt towns. I know that Javier sort of ruined it. But,
it's dead. It's okay. They're dead.
No,
They'll
come
die.
on, Prude. Come on. I feel
they'll die. The Rust Belt will die. It's okay.
How do we I think that you were saying America's a car culture, which is funny because in a way
I don't have the fatigue. Well, it depends on what kind of fatigue we're talking about here. But no, it is a car culture. And one of the things that had made my travel kind of easy was that you have these like mega centers of gas stations. Because I mean, there's of course you have the trucking industry here in America, but there's the Buc-ee's has expanded pretty far into the American South. It's in Alabama, in Tennessee, and in Arkansas. So like my trip was I cut it in half, although I really shouldn't have. I could have gone through the whole way, but I decided not to. I stopped in Nashville the first night, but there were just Buc-ee's all over Tennessee and in Arkansas and stuff like that. So literally my gas station stuff was just stopping where the Beaver is, and it was a fantastic trip until I got closer to like Gatlinburg or wherever the Dollywood place is, right? And that one was massive. I was like, this is probably like one of the biggest Buc-ee's I've ever been to, and it was just a disgusting like mess of just trying to even get into it. I'm like, I just wanted to go to the bathroom and fill up my gas tank for God's sakes, and instead I'm going through like 4 different roundabouts to get in there. And it was a nightmare, an absolute nightmare. But that was the way that you did it. Is that, you know, and one of the things that I guess you just take for granted in America that you don't think about when you live overseas is how few billboards there are elsewhere in the world compared to the United States.
Yeah.
And it was just everywhere. You know, it was funny driving through, and there would be like your usual you know, things for gas stations or rest stops or anything like that, and then out of nowhere you'd get like, you know, more than a symbol, right? And it would show it showed Dixie, you know, and things like that. And I passed through an insane amount of what's the word I'm looking for? An insane amount of like, you know, Jesus saves type billboards alongside of like, you know,
like Southern Gothic type
that type of like 1-800-Truth or whatever.
Like you'd see in a Mytho-American.
Oh yeah, well, because those photos are those photos are real, and 2, they're all over America. It doesn't matter where you're at. Even when I drive to church, I pass through like there's a sign for a big Baptist church in one of the other towns, but they have this like giant billboard, and it just says, you know, Jesus is the answer to all your problems, which 1, that's true, but 2, it's just kind of funny that throughout south of the Mason-Dixon line, that's just everywhere that you go, and you'll pass through and you'll see all sorts of stuff and things like that. But that really is sort of part of the American road culture, at least in the South, I suppose, is that, you know, everywhere you go, it's small. You'll drive through these small you know, people make fun of Breezewood, but like there's a Breezewood in every corner of America. At least if you're near a highway, right? You know, like Breezewood is everywhere. Breezewood is eternal. It happens, and that's okay.
But it's funny because
that's right. Hell is real. They're like, hell is real. There is a place that you're going to go to after you die. Like, death is not the end. Like, do you know where you're going after you die? Like, this could be your last moment. Repent. And theirs are out there. Gun stores are my favorite. I like passing through like tiny rural roads where someone's got the sort of kitschy, but I really love it because I own one of those. We don't dial 911 out here.
Smith and Wesson.
Yeah, with the Smith and Wesson, and I'm just like, yep. Or private property, you know, prosecutors, you know, instead of being prosecutors, it will be like they will be shot. It's good stuff.
Well, is it the one sign's like, we don't dial 911, we dial for 308 or something, but the one the trucker, it's like my truck is insured by Smith and Wesson. That's a good one. No, it's funny that America like is such a car culture, such a road culture, because in Canada, like a car is basically a necessity, especially once you get to the rural parts. But we don't have that same like awareness, I think, of maybe because our population is so starkly urbanized. But then America is trending that way, though, towards like middle of nowhereism versus urbanization, but not to the same degree as Canada. But it is funny how a country so hugely geographically vast, America like the soul of America, a big part of it is like the open road and the highway and the car and the attraction of the highway and the attractions on the highway and like this sort of like transience of existence that, I think because like America, if you're an American, there's so many things to do and see, and there's so much of a diversity of regionalism in terms of weather and sites that, you pretty much, not that you don't have to travel and see the wonders of the world, but if you're going to land in anywhere, you probably best bet is to live in America if you if you can't travel anywhere else. So
well, I mean, and I also have been driven through a lot of these parts of the country before. Actually, this was like my first time driving to North Carolina, and it was my first time in that state in my lifetime. And so just to see the NASCAR culture, like I don't live too far from like the Texas Motor Speedway, but like, and that's
Texas has a big NASCAR thing too.
Well, it's got a racing deal, and it's also got the rodeo. Texas is its own separate thing, right? But like,
is Texas the South, Prude?
Yes
and no.
Well, yes and no. It's its own unique separate thing, but it also shares a lot of that southern, deep South Anglo traditions that came part of its early settlement. But it's its own thing. But I also would lump it in there because it fought for the Confederacy.
Yeah,
it literally kicked a lot of people out to be part of it. But NASCAR is the southern sport, and that's definitely for sure. Florida's its own separate thing as well, but
is Florida its own separate thing?
Florida's its own separate thing in the same way Texas is its own separate thing.
Yeah, that's true. What is the real South? That's always a debate between Texans and people from Alabama.
Texas isn't the real South. It's like South Dixie adjacent is what I'd like to call it. I mean, like the real South would be, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia,
Kentucky,
Carolinas, the Kentuckys, Tennessee, South Carolina is like one of the, big heart for it. But I mean, at the same time, right? Like they all have kind of bled into this, they all uniquely separate, but they're also part of this sort of like greater sort of cultural mega region that no one's stopped hating ever since like this place was founded.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the panhandle pat like Florida,
Alabama.
Sure. Yeah. And Louisiana is too much of its own thing. Well, I mean, you've got the French there, the French Quarter, Creole, the French language, the Grateful Dead, the Mississippi. Driving over the Mississippi River was beautiful.
Yeah, the only place in the South where Catholicism is strong, as opposed to northern states.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, that's pretty good, Prude.
Yeah, and I mean it was kind of funny though to like you would go through like a city, right? You would drive through some like Nashville and you'd see those like those billboards where the Jew belong ones where it's like Hamas is also your problem too, and I'm like that reads like a threat. And then like 5 miles down the way it's just like like it's like ACT or whatever, and it was like acknowledge Christ as your personal savior. It's like convert and believe and trust in God or whatever, and we have all the little references to scripture, like that old sort of like Protestant style of like evangelism. And so it's just funny to see these two things like vastly clash, because of course Nashville has grown so much in the last several years, and the hotel I went to for the night was like in downtown, which I kind of regretted. I like parked my car, it's valeted, they put it in there, and it's ran entirely by like very gay black people. And I was just like, whoa.
Nashville, yeah.
And I go in, I check in, I get into my room, and then as soon as I'm like in my room, I like put my bags down, my phone buzzes off, and it's like, hi, so-and-so from the front desk. I hope that everything's great. I was just like, okay, we're done. Like, I did not want to be here any longer than I had to be. It was wild. But no,
maybe you're in one of those cruising hotels.
I don't. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, the Hilton in downtown Nashville is apparently a big cruising place, and then there was a singles bar right across the street, and you could listen to like a dozen bachelorette parties with the woo type deal of all the white women getting drunk. It was a crazy time, but nevertheless, yeah.
So you just like drove like.
I just drove.
Were
straight.
you planning this or like?
Yeah, this was all planned.
Oh, was it to see Semag, or is it just like you wanted to road trip?
No, I have people who are friends and family in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So the plan was I was going to spend New Year's there because Christmas here is all we have like our main immediate family Christmas, and then I've got all of myself in the mother side of the family has their own Christmas. Then I have to do my father's side of the family, which I think is happening this weekend. So old calendar Christmas, I guess, right, is going to happen this weekend. And then
interesting
with my dad's side of the family. So it's like, oh, well, I have some time. I haven't been on a vacation in literal years. So I thought, why not go over and say hello to some old friends from high school and people I've known since I was like 20. So it was good to say hello and to do all that. Road trip to Geo's win. Well, Oliver and I were talking about this. I told him I wanted to do the Digital Archipelago live for like episode 100. So that gives us like 2.5, like 5 months to plan something out. Actually, what we could do, and I should talk to the organizers for the upcoming event later on in this year. Instead of we could have a live show at the event.
That could be it. Yeah.
Could be live. Be a lot of fun.
Fuck, do it live. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we do all shows live, but I mean, like, because Art of Darkness they did a live show. And I think they had to like a bar or hotel or whatever, and I would love to.
Oh, I think Red Scare did one in Dime Square. They did a live show. Yeah.
Sweep that under the rug.
I think my former podcast also did one in the middle of Dime Square, which was also weird, considering how the host of that show thinks that Anna's a Russian agent. But well, anyways, we could do one at Skildings. How do you pronounce it? Scaldings?
Well, this year there'll be an event hosted by the OGC. So.
Oh, okay, the Old Glory Club.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Yeah, we'll be hosting one.
There you go.
That'll be a good time.
Fucking thing sucks. Yeah,
do it live. I think you should do it live from floating lawn chairs in your pond. Here's the thing: I have no reception.
Oh, or connection.
So the reason why all the fishing videos are just videos and never live is because the moment I step out like 10 feet from my house, there is no reception. It's great. So it's just great. I like the fact that I live in the middle of nowhere. The only downside, of course, is the lack of solid internet connection. There were times where y'all have seen it on the show where the internet will die and it'll be like, and you want to just like scream and can't do anything about it. Clout chasing is clout chasing. That is the name of the game for some people. I hope that we are not those people.
Well, that other podcast network used to host pool parties. So, do
you have any idea how little that narrows it down? This podcast network does pool parties. Which one?
You know the one. I used to call it pool parties. Is that picture of fucking that's always cracks me up every time. That picture of Mike Enoch with Sven in the pool, that always cracks me. I don't know why. I find it so funny. But it was fucking imagine us in the pool together.
No, I don't think about that at all. That's a terrible mental image. I don't want to think about it.
Oh yeah, that'd be
the nice thing about coming into my own in the 2020 plus beyond era is that there's 8 years worth of coal to sift through and be like
8 years
can't
worth
do
of
that.
coal, yeah.
Can't do that.
10 years.
Can't do that. Don't do that shit. That's the story of my life. It's just looking at
there's so much old head lore.
David Spade, Chris that's kind of the dynamic, except I'm not being made fun of by Norm Macdonald.
The old head lore is incredible.
Yes, Geo can swim. He just can't ride a bike.
5 feet apart because they're not gay.
Golly.
Oh man. No, but they used to call them pool parties apparently. It was like the name for their like little IRL groups. But
Good God.
I mean, I don't know, it seems that we're reinventing the wheel, like pool party, basket weaving, like it's
does anyone
write Wattpad fanfic unlocked.
Does anyone? But here's the thing, though. Like the whole basket weaving deal. How many like prior orgs actually encouraged like IRL meeting of people? Not even for like political activism, but just like to combat the rampant atomization of like our whole scene. Because like the big difference between like back then and now and the reinventing of the wheel claim is that COVID didn't happen back then. Like there was no mass lockdowns of society and like a total deracination through like digital space in 2018. There wasn't. I mean, there was the whole online thing, but I mean, like, there wasn't the whole I have nowhere else to go because it's illegal for me to like go outside and do X, Y, and Z. You know, I think that's a thing to consider.
But I think like I don't know, it seems that like there's really only two options, right? Like in terms of an IRL group, either you have like a very closed and I'm thinking of like Hestia Society, very like, you know, closed group of old heads that do their own thing and like nobody hears about them. Or you have like, you know, an attempt at an IRL group that's also inevitably wedded to, let's face it, very disastrous public displays that have, you know, set the narrative back a long time, whether it be, you know, in that case, Seville, but also J6 or whatever. Which we're coming up to the anniversary. Is there a public holiday in America by now? Do you have a public day of mourning for the J6?
No, I don't think we don't have a political holiday, or as I like to call them, holidays. I don't think we have it yet, but
we don't have it yet, but it'll be mythologized.
I imagine it. Well, if the left achieves total victory in this country, like yes, it will be the day of like the last breath of the American evilness or whatever, you know.
The last day of America being what we knew it was and normal in political discourse. And
I mean, I did a video on it 2 years ago, so if you want to see that, go watch it. It's called Holidays in the Two-Story State. But hey, you know, that's life.
Floyd miss. You know what's funny is that how come there hasn't been like an official biography written about George Floyd? How come there hasn't been like, you know, he becomes like a mythological figure where they like go through his life and his upbringing and they have like the definitive documentary on George Floyd? Like how come they don't, why do they just like totally close this guy's life off? He doesn't become like this mythological figure. Because
it would be a criminal pornographer who happened to like, and how are you going to dramatize like that fateful day where we have all the footage of him being high as a
It'll
kite,
be like that movie Crash,
where he's got the banana and he's shaking, you know, like no one. Tell me how great that's going to be on like a Netflix documentary or something. It'll be like the People versus O.J. Simpson, and maybe like Scuba Gooding Jr. can like come up there and just be like acting all high as shit, trying. And he's doing this because he owes some like Mr. Levin from like the one studio a favor because he's got to beat those like abuse allegations. It'll be great, and like Cuba Gooding Jr. would be the perfect person.
Cuba Gooding Jr. I
did the Scuba thing for the reference to that other movie.
Does George Floyd have like kids or anything? Did he have kids?
Doesn't he have a brother? Doesn't he have a brother named Felonious?
I think so.
Like, oh man, it'll be great.
Because that's what I meant.
Because like to me, I
imagine us in the pool together like Mike and Smack. That's amazing, Nudge Unit. That's amazing.
I'm uncomfy. I'm uncomfy.
No, but think of it like we don't know anything about like his upbringing, like who his parents were, like where he grew.
Are you telling me he's like Barack Obama?
Maybe a little bit. No, I mean we know a little bit, like that's a fictitious telling.
George Floyd, like the Barack Obama of like American racial justice. We know nothing about him.
We know nothing
he grew
about
up in
him.
secret in origins that we don't know.
Well, usually religious figures, we know quite a bit about their life. So, you know, we know the lives of the saints.
This is why we have to win. That way, like, he's not mythologized as a religious figure.
Yeah,
because
true.
like, okay, consider all of the like the fake, like, in the Gnostic infancy gospels of Christ, right? Where like he kills the kid and then he brings the kid back to life, or he like makes clay birds into whatever, and he claims himself as a created creature or whatever. Like, imagine that, but like with George Floyd. Yeah, like, you know, see, with like religious figures, we kind of make it easy. Like, who's Jesus's dad? Well, it's God the Father. Who's George Floyd's dad? We'll never know.
No.
So a little harder.
I don't even think George Floyd knew. Did he know?
Let's find out. Actually, no, I'm not doing that. No, we're not. No.
It's funny how people try to re-upload the George Floyd prawn video, but it gets like instantly taken down from you know, those sites like
it's funny how the George Floyd porn video can be like instantly taken down, but like
not
hundreds of
hours.
Cheese
pizza though.
Hundreds of hours of human trafficking and child abuse content on these sites. Yeah,
totally fine.
Yeah.
But you know, Floyd though, they have that on lock.
Yeah,
that's
it'll be some like weird syncretic like black Pentecostal with some like Jewish traditions that'll be there. They'll put like a little bit of Fent in the like manna that they eat. It'll be
like Creflo Dollar, like someone like that. Yeah. Floyd race and fiends. Yeah, Floyd. How many dying for Floyd? Yeah, the Black Hebrew Israelites. No, sorry, the Nation of Islam. They'll have to like take up, you know, George Floyd.
Could you imagine? It'd be a great time.
But it's funny how like people like these things become like, you know, religious figures, or they take on like a civic air. Like, you know, we talked about like J6 or whatever. But anyways, let's get into a serious news item. Or
no, we got to put our serious hats on now.
Let's put our serious hats on. I feel like we're just jabbing, but
that's like half the show.
Yeah, I know that's half the show, but
we've been doing this for over a year. I would hope that we know what we're doing at this point. So yeah, the news. I guess we should get our takes in now, right? Yes, there were baptisms after the Derek Chauvin stuff came out.
Did they? Yeah. You know what's funny? You know what they didn't do? But it's become like, I think maybe because it's so tied into political activism, like, you know, these like black churches in America, like the obsession with like the pastor. Like, did we figure out who was George Floyd's like birth pastor? Because remember they did the whole thing with Obama and Jeremiah Wright being his pastor, but it was really like a political activism front. And it was like this like slippery thing between like, where does religion begin? Like, where does the church begin and where does political activist machine end? Right? Do we have that with George Floyd? Do we know his pastor? Do we know his mother? Do we like again? It's incredible. It's incredible. But anyways, let's stop talking about George Floyd. What did you want to talk about this stream, Drew?
Well, I figured that we would get in ahead of the game since our good friends Patrick Casey and Nightmare Vision are going to be talking about it later. I like the fact that we're live now because we can beat them to the punch.
Yeah, there you go. George,
I heard. I can't believe we're researching this stuff.
Pastor.
Yeah.
Pastor reflects in Minneapolis 2 years after. Blah, blah, blah. Did George Floyd know his kids? That's on the Google search. He did have a child, Gianna Floyd.
Did he know her? Probably not. She knew him? Probably not.
Christianity Today. George Floyd left a gospel legacy in Houston. And they have a picture with him in the Bible. And he's
you know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of sorry to make a reference to a show that most people in our audience hates, but like it reminds me of in Better Call Saul, where they like make a fake website and say that Huel was like this like God-fearing Christian man, and everyone is like Southern Baptist community loves him, and they got pictures with him with the Bible and everything, and it's you know Could you imagine everyone's just like, yeah, this pornographer was a God-fearing Christian man, and it's just like,
wow. As a person of peace, Big Floyd opened up ministry opportunities in the Third Ward housing projects. The rest of the country knows George Floyd from several minutes of cell phone footage captured during his final hours, but in Houston's Third Ward, they know Floyd for how he lived for decades.
why are we talking about some overdose junkie from 3 years ago?
A mentor to a
Why?
generation of
Why?
young men and a person of peace.
Oh my God! Are you telling me that? Are you telling me, Gio, that he is like the icon for sensitive young men in the Third Ward?
Floyd spoke of breaking the cycle of violence he saw among young people and used his influence to bring outside ministries to the area to do discipleship and outreach discipleship, particularly in the Cooney housing unit. I'm not joking. CUNEY housing project, locally known as the Bricks. George Floyd was a person of peace.
We're moving the fuck on.
Okay. It was a person. How many times is Christianity Today article gonna say he was a person of peace? He clearly was not a person of peace.
We're done. We're done.
We're done.
We're done.
Okay. I wanted to be serious this stream, but it's the rule.
Well, we're just gonna talk about George Floyd for some reason. This is a serious show. Apparently, we're fucking not.
No, it's with a CUN. Like it's the Cunny housing unit. The platform was to reach your neighbors, and hundreds of people reached.
No.
The
Lord
that helped the gospel go forward in a place and live near.
No, Gio, we're done. Talk about George Floyd again. I swear to God, we're done.
His faith was in the heart of the Third World. Okay, we're stopping right now.
Jesus H.
Okay. Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
That's Christianity Today for you, though. That's the state of Christianity publications in America.
Oh,
so yeah.
Golly.
I think it's what's the Catholic one? The hideous libtard Catholic. No, they're not libtarded.
I don't read a lot of Catholic publications, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, what's it called today? American Magazine. Is that American? Yeah.
I don't know.
I think it's American Magazine.
Let's just look it up real quick.
What's the people in the chat would know?
The Jesuit magazine. Yeah, that is America. That is American Magazine.
American Magazine. There you go. Yeah, it's the Jesuit publication. Yeah, they had one about George Floyd back in the day.
Oh God, the other state of this show.
Anyways,
38 minutes.
Let's put on our serious. Okay, talk about Floyd. Talk about the South. Let's put on our serious hat now.
Well, speaking of other black people that have been given the boot, I guess Claudine Gay is out.
Oh God, we're gonna talk about that.
Oh, we kind of have to. It is news. Yeah. And it kind of you have Claudine Gay, Human Biodiversity or HBD. Happy birthday! Is all back in the news.
Oh boy!
So I guess there's plenty to talk about if you wanted to put your serious hat on for a hot minute. Which one do you want to take first? Do you want to take Harvard or the fun?
The recent discourse controversy.
Half of an hour of the show's content wouldn't exist without Twitter.com.
This is very true. We have to actually work to find good content.
What's the take on the bombings in Iran? They said ISIS claimed responsibility, so that makes me assume that either there are three likely culprits: the Israelis, the Saudis, or the United States. But most
probably
likely,
all three of them.
Most likely, Saudi Arabia.
Well, not Saudi Arabia.
I would pin less than Saudi Arabia. Most likely Israel. And they've already done Israel. I mean, Israel's bombed them before, like in a more recent time too. Like there have been attacks on munitions factories, and we know damn well that was Israeli. So, funny how a terrorist organization that America allegedly defeated during the Trump administration has claimed responsibility. At the same time that the whole ISIS stuff was also happening in places like sub-Saharan Africa, where they've been fighting the Russians and they've been fighting Chinese and other African aligned forces with them. It's really interesting. Funny how all this talk about radical Islamic terrorism kind of dies off as soon as we're not really in the region and we're paying them money. I reviewed a book last year about 9/11 sort of like post-terror discourse, and it's really interesting to see how like everyone thought that this new transnational terror threat was going to be like the new big geopolitical paradigm of the 21st century. Turns out not so much.
Yeah, Huntington was kind of wrong about that. Yeah.
Well, it's really a matter of who arms and funds them, and when it turns out that it's inadvertently our guys or something else.
You know who really defeated ISIS in Aleppo?
You can tell me it's the Russians?
Russia. Yeah, there you go. Well, I mean, yeah, well, I mean, it's that thesis is closer to the truth than not, I would say.
Well, I mean, the whole
Trump turned the spigot off. Put it that way.
Trump also did, basically just turned up the rules of engagement stuff here. Yeah, but Aleppo, Gary Johnson moment.jpg. What a great time.
There you go.
What is Aleppo? God, now that's old at this point. Good God,
old had to put some like old Giga Chad at it, like
with a long white beard,
Yeah.
Jeez.
God
bless.
The attack on Iran, I mean, there were numerous cases where, and it's not just Israel alone, let's face it, it's being backed by America. They've bombed weapons installations, they've bombed power stations, they've allegedly bombed nuclear power stations, but that's bullshit.
They did use Stuxnet like over 10 years ago. I mean, cyber is also on that list here too. But the other thing to consider, I think, especially in the midst of all of this, is that there is some semblance of unease. Like both sides of this are sort of like trying to determine where the line can get crossed without this escalating into a full regional conflict. Because I do not think Iran at the present moment, similar to the United States or Israel, I don't think we're at present moment capable of larger escalation into the Middle East.
Right.
So I mean, this asymmetrical, we're like, well, you can attack some shipping stuff, but we're gonna like go bomb
the Houthis,
which are backed by Iran and China.
Yeah.
But I mean, allegedly ISIS is going to go bomb a General Soleimani like celebration memorial.
Apparently
type
50
deal.
Iranians were killed. Yeah.
And like 200 some odd plus people were injured. Yeah. Like it was a much larger attack than people give it credit for. I was reading about it earlier this week, catching up on the news when I got home. And it was like, I was like, wow, that's pretty damning. And I'm surprised that a lot of people have been mum about it as well. And I mean, and again, it goes back to what I've discussed on other shows, both here and like Pony Express Radio. Like America's in a really weird position where like you do have a much more pro-Iranian wing of our State Department, but now it's sort of being dragged in back, of course, with this war in Israel and in Gaza. And it's, it's certainly something to consider there. But I mean, the interscene violence between Shia and Sunni groups is not from what little I know, based on my reading of like even Wahhabists and the Saudi Arabians, it's not to the degree that like we're going to go kill Sunnis, or we're going to kill Shia Muslims. Like I haven't seen it be that bad. So to say that they're the ones claiming responsibility just seems like a really nice cover. But again, I'd have to do more research, and that's the thing I feel like has to be put into consideration there. I can't understand why they're pro-Iranian.
Well, what is pro-Iranian in the American State Department? Pro-Iranians, I don't want a war with Iran. That's what it means.
Well, it's more like if I can give Iran agency, or if I like the JCPOA. And I've heard arguments saying that this was actually a good thing, and I kind of need to read more on that, take more. But like, if I'm pro-Iran or I'm pro-Palestinian in terms of like the U.S. State Department or lobbying the State Department to be more pro in that argument, the argument I could make is that, listen, the ongoing policy of what's the word I'm looking for? The policy that I'm looking for
sanctions
is that, well, I would argue that the policy of pursuing peace with Iran would mean that the United States is not dependent on Israel and Saudi Arabia. The power players are changing in that region, and then all of a sudden we can go out and have more of a free hand in that area and not be so dependent on one or two parties that are already looking for other options in the area. That would be the argument right there, is balance of power. But hey.
Yeah. No, but also I think Iran is more strategically important than even Israel. I mean, that's just a fact. And so if Iran could be pacified through proper sort of realpolitik negotiating, that would be a much better deal, I think, for stability in the region. But then again, this is predicated on the elites wanting stability in the region. The American people certainly want stability in the region. But I mean, listen, Philip, listen. Okay, I know. I know that they hate each other. They have no reason to go after each other. This is true. But you cannot deny, Philip, that the Israelis and the Americans like deeply hate Iran. Like that's just, and Iran deeply hates them. So, you know what I mean? Like it's, yes, I know. Listen,
Can they be pacified? Fuck no. Fuck no.
What do you mean?
Like, of course they can't be pacified.
No, of course. I mean, the death to America is like literally.
And it's the same thing with the Houthis. Like, their whole thing is like, death to Israel, death to America, and curse be upon the Jews. Like, no, there's no rational argument with these people. Like, there isn't. But the problem is that there are numerous individuals, particularly
Philip, be honest, Iran. Come on, Israel hates Iran. They hated them since the revolutionary government. Come on. But at the same time, Philip.
Gio, there's also a significant amount of Iranians though that do have influence in our State Department, at least under this administration, with relations to King's College and in Britain. Yeah, like this is something that is quite adamant in this at least particular class of foreign policy.
They've been with a lot of them. This is
not a defense. This is not a defense of our current attitude or policy towards Israel. But geopolitically speaking, in terms of who's providing influence, money, and investment, there is a particularly large Iranian and Palestinian contention in there. And this is why you've seen so much discord inside this current State Department about having an open channel for quote-unquote dissenters inside there, that Blinken saying, we're listening to you, we're hearing from it. The fact that this isn't like other administrations during the Gaza wars of past, where there has been more ushering for peace talks or ceasefires or more humanitarian aid, does illustrate a significant change in how much influence those groups do have. Now, this doesn't mean like, that the Iranians all of a sudden are going to be pro-America, or that we're going to have a relationship.
No way.
No, it's not.
No.
It's just that's how it's going to be there.
But I think but again, like the view of the State Department in America is or the view of like the average, like, what would you call them? Like, that account on Twitter, what are they're like unironic neoliberals. They're run by those 4 soy jack guys.
Oh, the Liberal Project or whatever.
Yeah, like
that James Urkel or whatever.
Oh, his name is Urkel.
I don't know, Earl or something. But I don't care about them. I mean, when their argument was like modernity is good, and it showed like a Dollar Tree next to a Dollar General, like a combined joint store.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, Viscard 24 too as well, Philip. Like, no, the view of the average, let's call them like.
But that isn't even ran by anyone who's like of that region, and if they are ran from that region, it's apparently very pro like Zionist or Jewish in that instance. Like,
no, but what I mean is not Viscard 24, but like what I mean is like the average, like let's call them liberal enjoyer, like the average like unironic neoliberal, like their view of the world, and this is always the same with Russia or Iran or even China, is that like, well, isn't it more like in terms of like economic prosperity and in terms of like material wealth, isn't it better if they just like drop their whole thing and like embrace global homo and we'll all get along and sing kumbaya and it'll be like the 90s cafe again? And it's like, no, that's not how the reality of it works, because first of all, the economic prosperity is never there, right? Look at all those countries, for example, in Eastern Europe that signed up to the EU or signed up to NATO. Is the economic prosperity there? No. And second of all, it's very hard. Like a lot of Westerners cannot understand this, right? It's very hard to like abandon your way of life and abandon who you are for a very like effete third world trinket version of those things, whether it be your religion or your identity or whatever. And so like the demand to like give that up, I mean, there are people that say in Iran that there's like a lot of like there's a lot of like Zoomer libtards that want to get rid of the revolutionary government. Oh, and of course, there was a lot of like libtards in Russia leading up to the invasion. And I'm sure even in China, you have like princelings that are educated in the West and have more of an affinity towards this sort of like internationalism and this sort of like ruthless cosmopolitanism than not. But at the end of the day, I mean, there's still millions of people that live outside of the awareness of our regime, not the awareness, but like lives outside of the context of our way of life, quote unquote, and wants to keep it that way. And I think this argument that was present from the 90s onwards, that don't you know, it's probably just better to sign up to like global neoliberalism. That's unfortunately not the case, and hasn't been the case for a very long time, if ever. But from a geopolitical standpoint, the sort of greatest minds in the State Department and other organs of power, they still believe this. And it's very hard to like sort of, you know, to see your way around that, right? And again, like, you don't have to be a Duginist or whatever to like come up with this point.
No, and Philip makes a great point here. Doesn't mean that they're not third world distant anti-imperialist types greatly overlapping with like global homo institute. Like, yeah. I mean,
yeah,
like the United Nations is a really good example of this.
Well, China is a good example. They're pretty much integrated into the.
Well, I mean, even a direct power challenge to the West, right? Like yeah. China. Well, they're not obeying anything that they might have signed on to with respects to climate, while the West kills itself with like climate agreements. Like, right. I don't care if that's sort of an establishment point from the Republican Party or whatever. It's just blatantly true. You know, there are more coal-fired power plants are being done there. They're investing more nuclear. They're building underground shelters for their oil and gas industries in the expectation of either conflict and to defend it and to move it underground to make room with what they have. Like, it doesn't matter what they sign on to in the name of being part of the international community. Like, they're going to do what's best for them. Sorry, they're practicing on the international stage better than we are. And we have far better natural resources than they do, at least with respects to oil and natural gas.
But we'll highlight Philip's comment here.
We fuck ourselves on this.
Highlight the Dugin comment. Dugin's view in the Western civilization, white people are indistinguishable from Nicole Hannah-Jones or even Max Kendi. You know, there are certain things he says that, yeah, that's pretty true, actually. I mean, he does have this thing about, like, post-colonialism and anti-racism, but again, I think that comes from, like, academia brain. You know, there's, you know, I mean, I possess certain third worldist traits, but
yeah,
I mean,
and sorry, I'm agreeing with Philip here.
What do you mean?
Oh, he's correct.
Oh, on Dugin? Yeah, yeah, he's right. Yeah, I mean, the rhetoric that some of the things that Dugin posts to Twitter and Facebook are absolutely insane and like indistinguishable from
a rabid anti-white leftist. Sorry, like, fuck him. I don't. Fuck him.
He's a good Heidegger scholar, put it that way. Apart from that, his third worldism is quite
is garbage. Sorry, some places are nice and nicer than others, and I shouldn't have to cater to the needs of the.
That's racist, places. Though. That's racist.
I don't care. I've never cared. I like.
You mean to tell me that the worst
societies.
The worst place in Crenshaw is preferable to Lagos, Nigeria?
Always will be. Until you import all of Lagos, Nigeria in there.
To Crenshaw.
Sorry.
Yeah, so.
Sorry.
That's a bad example. They say Crenshaw's actually nice now, though. It's different than what it was in the 80s.
And I'm sure Gary, Indiana can be nice at times. Doesn't mean I want to fucking go there. In the same way I don't want to go to Lagos, Nigeria.
Would you rather live in Gary, Indiana, or Lagos, Nigeria?
Gary, Indiana.
Well, there's certain parts of Lagos that are pretty good, though.
Yeah, you have to be incredibly wealthy in order to make it work there. And I mean, wealth is, of course, subjective when living in a third world, but still, I'm going to go to the place that probably has better water quality than the other. Don't care.
United Abominations. That's a good Megadeth reference right there. But
I don't want Nigeria and Indiana. I don't want Puntland, from Somalia to inhabit the entire state of Minneapolis. It's that.
You don't want Burkina Faso into Indiana?
No, I don't. I don't. And I don't want. It doesn't matter how awful like this war in Gaza gets. Doesn't mean I want like 2 million Palestinians to come to the United States.
But what about all the naan bread recipes?
We have the recipes.
No, but like what
we can mow our own damn lawns.
We can bake our own naan bread,
Yeah, we can. Now that we have the recipes.
That's what I mean. We don't want to but okay. So on a serious point, though, Minneapolis.
No, I am being serious. I don't want them here. That shouldn't be a ridiculous.
No, I know, no, that's a serious point. But like about the Dugin thing, like going back to Iran and. Like, this is all the backdrop of people in Gaza still, being bombed. So, and the fact that the greater Middle Eastern powers haven't done anything, because what can they do? Really honest. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. I remember beginning of the war a month ago. Was it been a month already? Or has it been 2 months?
Since what?
Since the invasion of Gaza.
It's been since October 7th.
Oh my God.
So it's been almost 3 months.
Yeah, almost 3 months.
That's placist.
That's placist. Yeah. No, but a lot of people were like, a lot of like this, third world is thinking about like, oh, see, now the Middle East is going to unite. They're going to have pan-Arabism. They're going to help their brothers and sisters in Gaza, and like they're going to overthrow America. They're going to do what Lebanon did to America and Israel in the 80s. But that none of that has happened, because nothing happens, because the Israelis have been allowed to do whatever they want. And now also when you mention Iran, this is also in the backdrop of Biden wanting to steal, and yes, it is steal, theft, and create a chilling effect throughout the world, all of those Russian assets in various banks in Europe. So, America seems like it can just do whatever it wants now. But then again, say America does take a significant windfall economically, and the Chinese step in terms of, the rest of the world and how they get their funds transferred and so forth. America just stealing assets and letting Israel do whatever it wants. I mean, that doesn't look very good. You don't have to be a third world. You don't have to be a Duganite third worldist, a MAGA communist to see that that's a bad look, in terms of the international community. So I don't know. What do you think is going to happen, Prude?
I don't know. That's the nice thing, is I can say I don't know. What I can say is, however, I'm certainly thinking that shipping companies are going to leverage the United States and the international community to get more protection, or to get more gibs out of the current situation in the Red Sea. It doesn't seem like the Houthis or the Iranians have any chance, or they don't plan to stop anytime soon with what they're doing in the Red Sea. The ability to corral a coalition for Operation Prosperity Guardian has had a lot of nations already tell them, listen, we'll do things under our own command, but not yours. So I foresee that we'll still have some logistics crises going on through Q3 2024, and a lot of more expensive goods because they have to go around Africa until this gets resolved. And until that happens, we're going to see both parties all parties involved trying to ensure that this doesn't escalate into a further regional conflict, at least until America can effectively pull out of Ukraine, financially and with its advisors. But until then, right, there's also the potential that 2024's election sees the whole idea of peace with Russia being a major election talking point. If I were the Biden administration and I wanted to throw red meat to my base, I would be doing it all day long, saying that, Trump wants to kill as many people as possible and to let Putin win, blah, 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 and have all that Hitler imagery involved. I mean, that's just a big part of it.
Yeah.
So anything goes, really.
Well, there are leftoids that believed Trump killed 1 million people in America because of over ClownVid. But Trump was the one that introduced Operation Warp Speed. So, I don't know, did he let 1 million people die?
I think, Trump will have to answer for the Operation Warp Speed thing if he ever has. He'll never do a primary.
Trump did let 1 million people die, but not in the way the leftoid, the pro ClownVid leftoids think he did. But anyways, go ahead.
I mean, I don't have a lot of my big issue, of course, is that watching the war in Ukraine play out is that I'm watching two countries with demographic problems kill each other senselessly when this war has easily been resolved, and all of a sudden, it's going to be reconstructed by people and organizations that are not friendly to the Slavs.
Exactly. So, no, but I think okay, so if they manage to steal this money, this could maybe keep the Kiev regime puddling along for maybe a year and a half, maybe. But at the end of that year and a half, what nation will be stronger? Will it be Russia or Ukraine? In terms of resources, in terms of the military-industrial complexes that both have access to, you can give more money to theoretically prop up Ukrainian society. But when you have so many men dying, and when you're demanding other nations kick out their own refugees to fuel the meat grinder. That's like, what's the point? Even if, like, I think the only way you could justify what's happening is if you do have a genuine regime change in Moscow. If Vladimir Putin gets the Gaddafi treatment and you put in some like libshit shell like Navalny, and this is all to break up Russia. That's the only thing that I think can justify what's been happening in terms of America's furthering support of the slaughtering of Eastern Europe. So
I mean, they want that.
They want that, but will they get that?
Since this war began, how many articles about like the decolonized Russian Federation looks like?
How many Gunther Fehlinger graphs have we seen with like, So, but the point being is that if in 2 years, Prude, say by New Year's 2026, if that hasn't happened, even if Russia is somewhat
2 years from now.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but say at the end of 2025, a year from, say that doesn't happen and that Putin is still there, or he's named a successor, which maybe might be Medvedev. It's like, I don't know. I mean, that's a huge legitimacy crisis.
The future of that region will be entirely determined on who succeeds both Putin and
Joe Biden.
Not even just, Joe Biden, but whoever they replace Zelensky with.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
These countries still have some degree of agency, so whoever succeeds them will be important to consider for however this goes forward.
Now, if I predict if Zelensky is not in a luxurious apartment in the south of Florida, Zelensky's not long for this world, but he's not going to die by the hand of a Russian. Put it this, the Russians have no intent of getting rid of him. At least I maybe they do, but who knows? I think the people closest to him that are not American are the more like the sort of the radical far right in Ukraine. I think is a good candidate. If things go really badly, then Zelensky's not long for this world. Or they'll give him a golden parachute. He'll be safe and sound in an apartment block, in a very luxurious apartment in the south of Florida, or in the north of France. But if that doesn't happen, if things do go disastrously for the Ukrainians, I think it'll be his own people, personally. I don't know what you think, Prude, but that's, to me, a very likely scenario.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, which of these nations will be still trying to lead some kind of coalition bloc against the West, and which one is going to be a vassal state of the West? I think we already know the answer to that.
Oh, yeah.
So,
but back to Iran, though. The future of Iran is even murkier, though, in terms of if it pulls off strategic partnership with China. So,
Iran has expressed its interest to be part of Belt and Road. It works closely with China in diplomatic endeavors. They invest in one another. Of course, Iran does have more economic leverage in, say, Europe with respect to manufacturing, especially with aircraft parts. I think the French have pretty relations with them. But whereas, of course, the United States pushes for its own policy of sanctions and so on. I mean, at the end of the day, even if you weren't, let me respond to this real quick. But I mean, even on paper, the argument would be, who do you side with? I see even more average people, or even just average right-wing statesmen, would probably going to pick Israel over Iran on who they side with in the future of that area. I mean, the big problem, of course, is with the big gripe I do have with our relationship to Israel, of course, is the intelligence sharing, how much of our tech has been given to the Chinese. This has been an ongoing problem for decades. I'm not even going to throw in the whole, question stuff into this. Just on a paper relationship, it's a shitty relationship that I think should be like Trump has talked about in other places. It obviously won't happen, but that agreement needs to be renegotiated, at least in terms of what we give them. Yes, they're good in things like technology and intelligence and security, but it shouldn't come at the cost of the United States, losing out on tech advantages and giving it over to the Chinese and things like that.
Yeah,
that's my big gripe. because I want my country to survive and to succeed, and I want it to thrive, and that requires a million other things, both domestically and foreign policy wise. Domestically, it requires a huge overload on things ranging from immigration to how our economy is structured, and we don't have right wing statesmen anymore. That's the problem. Correction, not even right wing. We don't even have competent statesmen, I should say. Like the class of competent statesmen, and I said this when Henry Kissinger died. I mean, like James Baker is in his 90s. Fucking Kissinger's dead. So is Conquest. So is George Kennan. Like, quality statesmen are gone. So I mean, like the competency crisis affects the left just as it affects everything else in the industry. So I don't know. Like I feel like we're fucked.
Well, to clarify, Javier, what I mean is that Russia so far has not found a need to eliminate Zelensky. It's not out of the realm of possibility. I mean, they have murdered their own statesman before. Let's not be totally the pro-Putin shill over here. But I think that it's more than likely that Zelensky, his own people, will probably get fed up with him first, rather than America, or even maybe not though. Maybe America might get fed up with him too, because if things are going really bad, he'll be the scapegoat, right? But I think I'm actually surprised that the far right in Ukraine hasn't actually openly. There are some people who are taking risks to openly chide the regime, such as what's his name? He used to be the press secretary. They got rid of him. He's a funny character. He's a funny guy. Arestovich. Yeah. He's like saying some crazy stuff. Like I can't believe they haven't gotten rid of him yet. Arestovich has been saying some absolutely crazy stuff. But from the perspective of Kiev, I mean, no, but about Iran, like you have to realize that Iran is in a precarious position because, like someone mentioned, the demographic problems Iran has. They have like a huge like subversive NGO complex there that they haven't gotten rid of. Iran, they really don't have any domestic support in terms of like other Muslim countries. Like you had, for example, during the war, you had people openly saying that, who cares about Afghanistan or Iraq? In Syria, you have like these like leftoid, like mostly Kurdish groups that the dirtbag left America, they love supporting. Some of them actually volunteered, right? You remember this, Prude? Like you had that guy from TrueAnon podcast who was there in Syria, right? In terms of Israel, you always have like that neocon right-wing support, but of course, like divided opinion on the right wing, but certainly among the conservative normie, right? Iran doesn't have that. Iran does not have domestic support from either the left or the right. The leftoids, they hate Iran because they hate, for women or other reasons. The right wing in America is either ambivalent or actively hostile against Iran. So I don't know, that could have changed under Trump. Trump was certainly more neutral towards Iran. The only people that really like Iran are like weirdo third worldists like Dugin or Hawes or whoever.
The other thing to consider as well is that
I'm deferential towards Iran, but that's another point. Like I don't co-sign the regime or anything because they obviously do terrible things. But
I think the other thing though to consider in this respect is going to be that some of these things are going to go on regardless of what the USG does, right? I mean,
but leftoids liking people does have power, Prude. Leftoids
sure. They love to do the whole the anti-colonialism, free Palestine type stuff. There's things that we've seen for decades. And, even if you find Israel's actions morally objectionable, which I know plenty of people do, and trust me, it's definitely the case. A lot of it is definitely objectionable. But at the same time, like if I were a state that views the fact that I am geographically surrounded by hostile entities and my foreign policy has to be considered to the degree of existentialism, then I'm going to look at, my most powerful ally, client, whatever you want to call it, entertaining these ideas and entertaining things like BDS. Like, I'd be lobbying to prevent that because that's a great way for foreign, powers to lobby and influence and do X, Y, and Z, and they're going to do what they do. Now, again, not defending Israel here. I am playing devil's advocate though.
Mm.
These countries are still going to be here. Someone was saying that AA has a take that Israel's not going to exist anytime soon. I'm pretty sure that would have to require a full-scale military invasion by multiple nations,
which they wouldn't win, by the way.
Which I don't see happening anytime soon. I think people overblow to some extent the vast degree of anti-Israel posting. Like, I'm sorry, like Jackson Hinkle's not changing how the State Department does anything.
I don't even think those left-wing protesters are going to change, and Harvard are going to change how the State Department thinks.
What is going to happen though is that
but who has a better chance of changing that thinking?
I have a feeling what we're going to get, and then this is my gut feeling. We can sort of relate this to the Harvard stuff too. Is you're going to get some kind of neoconservatism 2.0.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, like Bill Ackman, a lot of this did start over the protests over Israel, and this started over the protests over being pro Hamas and things like that. And sorry, but like the only people that really do denote that there's a difference between like Jews and white people just tends to be the far right.
Or them themselves, but
or them themselves, right? But that's the whole Schrodinger's minority thing. I can benefit from white privilege, but I'm also Jewish. It's the publicize the victory, suppress that information when someone does something bad, because they have and I don't think that this is anything esoteric or red pilling, but I think you notice this with how the whole war has played out since October 7th, that, an attack on one Jew is an attack on every Jew in the world. That extends to their foreign policy. That's an obvious, I think, a rather obvious objective thing to state. But however, to sort of carry on with that, I think that we're seeing a neoconservatism 2.0 come out of this, a sort of anti-woke, kind of old school 2016 classical
more edgy, a neoconservatism with a Giga Chad face. Put it that
a neoconservatism that has a good Twitter game, really, is what it is. Now, don't get me wrong. I am totally okay with the fact that this means that Chris Rufo wants to put out a $10,000 bounty on any other head of a major Ivy League institution that calls him out for plagiarism. I'm okay with that. I'm sorry, we're going to delegitimize one of the most powerful like aspects of America's like left-wing like indoctrination centers. Works for me. But at the end of the day, like, I'm sure not everyone's going to, it's going to be the perpetual, well, they're doing one thing I like, but they're doing like two or three other things I don't like, or they're doing it in the service of this group or whatever. And I think it just goes back to how well can you balance out your realistic expectations versus dreams of based world. Like, I don't think you're going to get based world overnight. And if based world ever exists, I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime or yours, Geo. I would love to be proven wrong. But at the end of the day, I feel as if what the direction that you're going to see is there's going to be some kind of neoconservatism 2.0 where the pro-Israel position isn't so much based in foreign policy, but it's based in domestic politics.
Domestic culture war politics.
Because what is a neoconservative other than a New York Jew that got mugged? What is the neoconservative? Norman
those Potterits, right?
Norman Potterits, hello. My Negro Problem in Hours, 1963. Although that article is. We should review that on stream one of these days.
Yeah, should. Yeah.
There's this whole section in there that's like reeks of sexual insecurity, and it's like, what the fuck is this?
Oh my god, it's like an A. Wyatt Man cartoon.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, but
oh man,
but so that's nowadays brutal. It's about waking up and realizing that my institution that I love so much is killing me. Like that's again. It is good to see in the progress of being made about anti-white stuff. It's good that stuff is being focused on.
This is where I'm skeptical of the Chris Rufo victory, though. I said this.
I'm skeptical of it too. Trust me.
Because again,
it goes.
The line that's crossed is to go against Israel murdering Palestinians.
I know.
Not anti-white stuff.
I know. And that's my big gripe. That's my big gripe.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
No. That's my big gripe. And
we're in agreement here. We're in agreement.
Yeah. No. We're in agreement. We're in agreement. I'm just listing out that I think
I want Chris Rufo to succeed.
I do. Yeah. But at the same time, I also want to use it as a platform to focus on issues that affect people like me.
Right.
Because
Right.
to be honest, any sane person should not have to care about what's happening.
You couldn't get a PhD at Harvard School of the political department, the political science department, right now. You kidding me, Prude?
No, I mean, there's almost no white people at Harvard.
Yeah,
minus legacy admits and some school sports scholarship for like water polo or whatever.
And you know what? No, but here's the thing, though. I will say, did you see Chris Rufo? He shared that clip from MSLSD. The what's the guy's name? That stupid fucking bald. He looks like a little gremlin.
Yeah, I agree with Hatcher here. It doesn't.
Yeah. It doesn't. Well, let's save Hatcher's point because that's a good point to talk about. But you saw that Velshi clip, whatever his stupid name is.
No,
the bald glasses guy for Chris Rufo shared this clip, right? And they're talking about him, how Chris Rufo has power in the Florida New College, whatever it's called, and how like
one tiny institution.
Yeah, Ali Velshi. And so he's making this big thing about how Chris Rufo is this like huge influence over all Republicans, and they're destroying this transformational academic, and that she didn't actually plagiarize. And it's like, actually, yes, she did plagiarize. She just didn't cite enough. Okay. Now, here's the thing. The whole academic system, and there was an academic that actually admitted this, okay, on Twitter, that many academics, if not most academics, maybe you're like fast and loose with citations. I'm fast and loose. I love citations, but the level of citing. Okay, here's what I was. This is a greater philosophic point, I guess, is that this person, Claudine Gay, is obviously some hack, right? Like, it's like, is her work going to be seen in the aeons in the future?
No.
Like not even. Okay, let's even narrow it down to other women of color, right? Is her work going to be as important as Viola Davis or Bria Dottie or
Kimberly Crenshaw?
Yeah, or Kimberly Crenshaw, or I'm trying to think, or Sadie Plant. Although I think Sadie Plant is a white woman, but who cares, right? In terms of women, and women in general, is her work going to be as important as Simone de Beauvoir? No way. Not a chance in fucking hell is her work ever going to be on the level. You could disagree with her, but ever will be on the level of someone like Simone de Beauvoir or many other African scholars. Like, is her work going to be as important as Mbembe? No way. Is it Akile Mbembe? No way. No, it's not going to happen, right? So, but my point being is that in terms of the academic system, if you read an academic paper, as you have, Prude, this like larded citations and whole pages worth of them, and here's what this, you have to like go through a literature review before you get to your point, okay? Look at academic papers.
I've written those papers, I know.
Yeah, but look at academic papers pre-1978. Or no, pre-1988, right? You don't really have that. I wonder why. It's because academics cannot actually have any new ideas or voices of their own, right? So the whole system is bullshit, right? Chris Rufo is just exposing a bullshit system.
Sorry, so.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. I would just ask, are you just comparing it to like a Sokol affair type deal?
In some ways, yes. But what I mean is that academia in general, in terms of their obsession with it.
But also when we say academia, and I hate to be an asshole on this and to interrupt you, but I mean, like, when we say academia, are we referring to hard sciences, or referring to the discipline in general?
Well, I'm referring to social sciences. Oh, hard sciences, they're bullshit on their own. That's
I mean, because the replication crisis is already a disaster, both on the social stuff. Right. And why is there an F in chat? Uh-oh. Hope we didn't get taken down. That would suck.
I think we're still up.
I think we're fine.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen the numbers drop, so we should be okay. But anyways,
no, but yeah, so we're good.
Yeah,
we're good.
Replication.
No, I mean humanities from my experience.
Okay.
Like this is not an engine of any sort of social importance or creativity of one's own work. That's
Yeah.
the last thing you have to do. Like, that's why I couldn't hack in academia. I'm just not that neat of a person. My ideas are sort of all over the place. So, you know, I mean, I hacked it for a bit. I'm talking about the PhD level. But you know what I mean, Prude? I think that in some ways the leftoids are kind of more correct than the mainstream, in the sense of, like, we know it's bullshit, but, like, you know, getting her on it being bullshit is sort of like Rufo is like just weaponizing a loophole, in other words, because we all know that citation is, you know, I can say, like I said in my rant a few weeks ago, like, you can make anything sound like anything if you cite enough, right? If you're good enough at the citation game. So Claudine Gay, like, she's a creature of the system. So knocking out one creature of the system, the only positive thing I could see is that if the left pushes hard enough, they will basically admit that, you know what, this whole citation academia thing is bullshit. And it's like, that's why we shouldn't get rid of Claudine Gay, because her social importance as a black woman as a woman of color is more important than maintaining the illusion of this, like, pure academic system. That is one victory, I think, that you can pull from the Chris Rufo thing. But in terms of the whole thing, I severely question its importance and its significance. But yeah, go ahead, Prude. I ranted for a long time.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yeah.
I mean, like, she's still a professor at Harvard too. She's not the
yes, that's
like
right.
she just and also, like, she's going to be a martyr. Like, we're already seeing it now. You know, she says that this is.
She already makes $900,000 a year. She'll make way more than that doing a book tour. So yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, leftoids will never be correct by except by accident. I mean, that's the whole woke are more correct than the mainstream, right? Like, they say these things, but on accident, it's true, right? You know,
when it comes to academia, it's their game. They're just revealing the system.
Well,
to defend one of the.
She is going to be a martyr. She already wrote an op-ed, and actually, we can just pull up that op-ed.
Oh, let's pull up. Let's read this op-ed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does she mention Rufo by name?
That's a great question.
I wonder.
Let's go find it real quick.
Also support our friends at Dissident Soap while Prude's pulling up the article.
Let me go get it archived so I don't have to deal with fucking.
Oh, by the way, I see Scott Manion's in the chat.
Hello, Scott.
He released an audio version of his very extensive read on the importance of the king in the English mythological tradition. So
yeah,
what's
so here
the title
we go.
of that? Yeah.
What just happened at Harvard is bigger than me.
So of course.
We're just gonna go through it, guys. We're just gonna go through it.
It's exciting.
By Claudine Gay. Dr. Gay is a former president of Harvard University, where she is a professor of government and of African and African American studies.
Of course.
On Tuesday, I made the wrenching but necessary decision to resign as Harvard's president. For weeks, both I and the institution, which I've devoted my entire professional life, have been under attack. My character and intelligence have been impugned. My commitment to fighting the anti-Semitism has been questioned. My inbox has been flooded with invective, including death threats. I've been called the N-word more times than I care to count. Again,
of course, she had to put that in there.
Passive progressive voice. Yeah. I am the victim.
Yes.
My hope is that by stepping down, I will deny demagogues the opportunity to further weaponize my presidency in their campaign to undermine the ideals and Harvard since its founding: excellence, openness, independence, and truth.
All those ideals are pretty much irrelevant nowadays.
They're all dead.
Academia.
They're dead
all
letter.
Dead, yeah.
As I depart, I must offer a few words of warning. The campaign against me was about more than one university and one leader. This was merely a single skirmish in a broader war to unravel public faith in the pillars of American society. Most people have no trust in American civil society.
Who did that? Who accomplished that? Chris Rufo and people like us, or the institutions themselves, right?
The institutions,
but they're expecting
a lot of this foot shooting themselves.
Is this in the New York Times?
Yes, this is in the New York Times. This is the American paper of record.
Yeah, so all the readers of the New York Times are going to agree with her anyways. So, but it is the paper, like you said, it is the paper records.
It is the paper of record
of not just America, but really pretty much the world at this point.
Well, to a large extent, I would say just sort of the American-centered West.
Sorry, New Yorkers like to tell themselves.
I wouldn't go as far to say it's the paper of record for the world, because that's way too Western centric thinking.
Well, New Yorkers like to believe that though. So
well, a lot of people like to think that New York's the world, man. But it's that old Jonathan Bowden thing where you land back in your airport and you get back home in Oklahoma, and the guy at the airport says, "Isn't it great to be back in the world? The world, because America's that big." But anyways,
an Albanian on a motorbike will dispatch it to you at 2 a.m. Your pizza.
So true. Yeah. Campaigns of this kind often start with attacks on education and expertise because these are the tools that best equip communities to see through propaganda. But such campaigns do not end there. Trusted institutions of all types, from public health agencies to news organizations, will continue to fall victim to coordinated attempts to undermine their legitimacy and ruin their leaders' credibility. For opportunists driving cynicism about our institution, no single victory or toppled leader exhausts their zeal.
So she's saying that I'm the canary in the coal mine. You better listen to me or else.
That's Man, I wish this were true. I wish this was true.
Yeah, I wish. Yeah.
Because every sort of right-wing win, or even when elections happen, so many people just say, "Oh, we won. That's it. Bye. Let's go home." There's no follow-through.
It's sort of like Maple Leafs fans when they got past the first round last Stanley Cup Finals.
There's no follow through.
People celebrated it like they actually won the cup.
Well, to be honest, I kind of do that with the United States in the World Cup if we ever make it past the first one. But
that's true.
There's no follow through. There's no follow through. Anyways, yes, I made mistakes. In my initial response to the atrocities of October 7th, I should have stated more forcefully that what all people of good conscience know: Hamas is a terrorist organization that seeks to eradicate the Jewish state. And at the congressional hearing last month, I fell into a well-laid trap. I neglected to clearly articulate that calls for genocide of the Jewish people are abhorrent and unacceptable, that I would use every kind of tool at my disposal to protect students from that kind of hate.
Oh, come on. Here's the thing. Do you really think that listen, I'm not saying this to defend Israel or whatever, but do you really believe that Claudine Gay was going to side with Israel over those students that are largely of ethnic mixed origin that, are, I don't say that they're pro-Hamas, but they're pro-Palestine, because that again is a rhetorical Israeli trap to say that, if you don't support, the invasion of Gaza, that you're pro-terrorist or whatever. That's bullshit. I mean, some of those students, let's be honest though, some probably are pro-Hamas. Let's not kid ourselves. But do you think that Claudine Gay was going to side against them, her people, her constituents, and that go to Harvard, that the students that, they're the ones that support the ideology that she's helped instantiate and craft and support over the years in modern Ivy League academia? Come on, get fucking real for a minute. This is all, she's going to do this because on the one hand, they're forcing her to apologize, but on the other hand, it's I'm a warning. So anyways, go ahead, Prude. So, you know what I mean, Prude? Do you have any thoughts on that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, the whole what's it, Elaine or Elise Stefaniak, right? The New York Republican who happens to be Jewish, talked about all this.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a good rhetorical, people sort of deal, but
she's more ideologically in line with those students protesting the state of Israel.
Well, of course,
than she is with the state of Israel.
Well, it goes back time and time again, and we saw this in the pro-Hamas, pro-Palestine rally in London, right? Is that the white side of history includes places like France, the United Kingdom, the United States, and Israel. They still view this as an anti-white thing, an anti-colonial thing.
Yeah.
It's not, again, it goes back to only the far right cares that there's a difference
only the far right cares.
Between Jews and white people.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I think me and you prove we have.
Of course she's on this side.
Yeah.
Of course she is, because she's already programmed to think that way.
But she has to say this about that I condemn Hamas. Well, of course. Obviously, she's got to say it.
You have to. So, you're the face of a massive scandal. You kind of have to. Most recently, the attacks have focused on my scholarship. My critics found instances in my academic writings where some material duplicated other scholars' language without proper attribution. I want to know who wrote this for her, because, damn, that is some damn good PR. Mwah, this is good language. Good language. But anyways, I believe all scholars deserve scholars. I'm ruined by all these euphemisms for black people. Deserve full and appropriate credit for their work. When I learned of these errors, I promptly requested corrections from the journals in which the flagged articles were published, consistent with how I have seen similar faculty cases handled at Harvard. I have never misrepresented my research findings, nor have I ever claimed credit for the research of others. Moreover, the citation errors should not obscure a fundamental truth. I proudly stand by my work and its impact on the field.
What impact?
Well, actually, that's a great question. Let's go look up her Claudine Gay. I just want to know what she's actually published, because it's not much that she's actually published.
Yeah. Again, she's no Viola Davis.
Selected publications. Doubly Bound, The Impact of Gender and Race on the Politics of Black Women, 1998. 2001, The Effect of Black Congressional Representation on Political Participation, 2001. 2001, The Effect of Minority Districts and Minority Representation on Political Participation in California, Public Policy Institutes of California. Spirals of Trust, The Effect of Descriptive Representation on the Relationship between Citizens and their Government, Putting Race in Context, Identifying Environmental Determinants to Black Racial Attitudes. I might read that one. Seeing Difference, The Effect of Economic Disparity on Black Attitudes Towards Latinos, American Journal of Political Science. Legislating Without Constraints, The Effect of Minority Districting on Legislators' Responsiveness to Constituency Preferences. Moving to Opportunity, The Political Effects of Housing Mobility Experiment. Outsiders No More, The Models of Immigrant Political Incorporation, Oxford University Press. 2014, Knowledge Matters, Policy, Cross Pressures, and Black Partisanship, Political Behavior, 2014.
Is that the most recent one?
That's her most recent one, the last one, according to the Wikipedia article here. I just think this, again, interesting stuff, you know?
Yeah, and it's interesting, no doubt, but I'm just saying
these are just Kunli Drupka tweets. Yeah,
these are Kunli Drupka tweets, yeah. No, it's interesting stuff, but I mean, like, in terms of...
Drupka's really good at mimicking what leftists would say.
But the thing is, Prude, if you read them, though...
I do want to read them. That's the
I do
thing.
want to yeah. But I mean, in terms of, like, visionary work, like, can any other BIPOC academic write her work?
Oh, yeah.
Probably, right? So, like, again...
The titles like that are no different than like border or Chicano studies that you would find at any major university in close to the border. I mean, I've got books on that shit, you know, about like Latino representation or stuff like that, you know. Obviously she didn't write this herself. So true. But I don't know, because that stuff people are like, oh, it's all mysterious and it's all in a cabal. Like, no, most of the shit you can just look up on JSTOR.
I mean, some of the language can be larded, but
I really do encourage people to actually read what these people write. So yeah,
but that's what I mean. Like it's like on the one hand,
always read your enemy's work.
Yeah, of course. But on the one hand, it's probably not going to be as important as other BIPOC academics, but also the plagiarism thing, like. She is correct in that maybe it was just a lapse of citation and maybe it wasn't like a malicious thing. But even still, the thing is that even citations themselves can hide very obvious intellectual laziness. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's not getting at the point of the thing, in my opinion. But anyways, yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll carry on here real quick.
I mean, am I happy that she's gone? Look who they're replacing her with.
That's why we've got you, Prude. Yeah, I know, because I do read this shit.
Yeah. No, but like, look who she's being replaced with. Is it going to be substantially better?
Oh, that's a good question. Who is the new president of Harvard?
You'll see, Prude. You'll see. People in the chat probably are already saying it.
I haven't heard the... Oh, Alan M. Garber. Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll be fun.
I'm sorry, man. They replaced her with an I'm not going to say it. Just go ahead. Go ahead.
I will keep reading.
But put it this way, without being explicit, in terms of the ideological direction of Harvard, it's going to stay the same. So
I didn't think that was going to change.
Yeah, that's not going to change.
Like at all.
Yeah.
At all. Again, there needs to be follow through. There needs to be an end game.
Right. Yeah.
Which there never is. Like I know that what percentage of these statements I don't think any of this was written by her. There's a ghostwriter, because this is
there's a legal team probably writing this.
This is pretty good.
Despite the obsessive scrutiny of my peer-reviewed writings, few have commented on the substance of my scholarship, which focuses on she has to cite what she actually does, which focuses on the significance of minority office holding in American politics. My research marshaled concrete evidence to show that when historically marginalized communities gain a meaningful voice, and I've heard really hack journalists repeat this exact line. My research marks concrete evidence shows that when historically marginalized communities gain a meaningful voice in the halls of power, it signals an open door where before many saw only barriers, and that in turn strengthens our democracy. But now this evil, terrible, racist right-wingers, they're closing that door by getting me out of that chair. That's what the implication is. Throughout this work, I asked questions that had not been asked, used the then cutting-edge quantitative research methods, and established a new understanding of representation in American politics. This work was published in the nation's top political science journals and spawned important research by other scholars. Never did I imagine needing to defend decades-old and broadly respected research, but the past several weeks has laid waste to truth. Remember, she has the truth. Oh God, that's PPV phrasing. Those who have relentlessly campaigned to oust me since the fall often trafficked in lies and ad hominem insults, not reasoned arguments. They recycled tired racial stereotypes about Black talent and temperament. They pushed a false narrative of indifference and incompetence. But you were proven to be a lazy scholar. So, like, none of this, you know what I mean? But nobody cares. Nobody reading the New York Times in seriousness will care about that. Go ahead, Prude. Sorry.
You're good. I'll
you want to finish off the...
Yeah, I'll finish it off. We're almost done. It is not lost on me that I make an ideal canvas for projecting anxiety about the generational and see, America.
There we go.
There we go.
See, this is like the perfectly worded... Yeah, this is perfect.
Got to talk about great replacement. A Black woman selected to lead a storied institution. Someone whose views diversity is a source of institutional strength and dynamism. It's always a net negative on the population. You all know this. It's like they're preaching to their choir. We're preaching to ours.
To our choir, yes.
We
know that's a big fucking joke. Okay,
it's so fucking tiresome.
It's like that moment in Dilbert, the animated series, where World's Smartest Garbage Man brings back Benjamin Franklin with the magic potion he saw on one of those channels at late at night. Benjamin Franklin goes to Dilbert. So you've realized now that democracy was all one big joke, and then World's Smartest Garbage Man goes, yeah, he doesn't know. So it was with the voting machine episode, but the internet voting system episode. But anyways, moving on.
Good Lord. We'll carry on.
We should review that series because Scott Adams, he kind of was a visionary in the early 2000s, where the same issues that we have nowadays. But yeah, go ahead.
No, I get that. Here we go. Excuse me. Someone who has advocated a modern curriculum that expands from the frontier of quantum science to the long neglected history of Asian Americans. Ooh, nice touch for a Black woman to talk about Asian Americans in the midst of fellow ethnics beating the shit out of Asian people. Not a bad idea. Someone who believes that the daughter of Haitian immigrants has something to offer to the nation's oldest university. Spoiler alert, they don't. I still believe that. As I return,
well, maybe in some regards, Prude. Let's not be too totally.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We could learn from the daughter of Haitian immigrants about what not to do when supporting gay race communism.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, we know how the Haitian Revolution ended, so yeah, there is something that we could learn. Yes, you're absolutely right, Gio. Thank you for correcting me. Ethnic cleansing is not cool.
Listen, I'm not just saying. There are plenty of Black scholars that are worthy of being in these institutions. I'm not saying
Marcel's great. I love Marcel. He's fantastic.
Yeah,
but the exception that proves the rule. I still believe that. As I return to teaching and scholarship. Oh, you just got to slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
I will continue to champion access and opportunity, and I will bring my work, the virtue I discussed in the speech I delivered at my presidential inauguration. Courage, because it is courage that has buoyed me throughout my career, and it is courage that is needed to stand up to those who seek to undermine what makes universities unique in American life.
Oh, it was a perfect tearjerker. Having now seen how quietly the truth can become... Oh, did you want to read Prude? Or
No, I'm just the tear jerking.
Yeah. Like, no, but it's like the tear, but also the fist, like, you know, courage, courage, courage. Like, it's, this letter is amazing.
It's also tiresome.
Yeah. Having now seen how quickly the truth can become a casualty, not causality, casualty amid controversy, I'd urge a broader caution. At tense moments, every one of us must be more skeptical than ever of the loudest and most extreme voices in our culture. Well, you mean people like you? However well organized or well connected. See this? Okay, I'll tell you right now. Let me finish this. Too often they are pursuing self-serving agendas that should be met with more questions and less credulity. College campuses in our country must remain places where students can learn, share, and grow together, not spaces where proxy battles and political grandstanding takes root. But you made it that way. Remember Gamergate? Remember during where you talked about the academics and so forth, and you had those like that one where the head of Harvard, the head of Yale got chewed out by that dismantler hair woman. Remember?
Yeah, the dismantler phenotype.
Yeah. Universities must remain independent venues where courage and reason unite to advance truth, no matter what forces are set against us. So this is perfect. You know why? I'll tell you why it's perfect. Because it like that Velshi clip on MSLSD, it was the same narrative, right? It reframes the source of power coming from the right wing. It reframes because of a few times that Governor DeSantis met with Chris Rufo. It reframes the whole political battle that these are well-connected, dark money-funded, Peter Thiel-funded, evil right-wingers that are coming down on the poor daughter of Haitian immigrant Harvard University head dean. Now, to normal person,
complaining about grandstanding in the New York Times op-ed section.
Right.
You were given a letter to one of the most well-publicized papers, and again, it's the more hypocrisy argument.
Right.
But again, Chris Rufo is, he's got his network of people, and it's
no doubt.
He doesn't have $1 billion like Harvard does, and this whole attack.
The new college is not Harvard.
This attack works only because of seizing the opportunity of what's happened since October.
Yes.
This would not have happened under any other circumstances.
Right.
Because Bill Ackman probably would not have complained under any other circumstances.
Because woke students wouldn't be openly calling for the death of the IDF or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Or they won't be wearing like literal jihadi symbols in these protests.
Yeah.
There's been a number of like far-right neo-Austrian painter fans that have converted to Islam. Prude, did you know about this?
Yes.
Yeah. Like, who's that guy in England? David Maya?
I mean, the Manhattan Institute does have billions of dollars, yes. But
yeah.
This attack, this little dethroning of the president would not have happened lest the events in October had not occurred.
But the point being is that this is a narrative that the leftists have been using for decades, even before Trump, is that...
they used this during McCarthy.
Yeah, that actually the right wing is the one really in power. But this like okay... To the average person, I feel, who has an IQ above 110, the average person who's maybe not a midwit, you mean to tell me that some like political activist that's in some like I'm not insulting it, it's probably a good college, but in some second string college, state college in Florida, is the narrative is that he's got all of the right-wing money and power, and that the right wing is in power, going against this poor, lowly daughter of Haitian immigrants, who is the dean of Harvard. Does that make sense to you? Who has more political power? The Dean of Harvard or Chris Rufo, right? But it doesn't matter, because the way it sounds to boomer liberals who have money and influence in terms of economic spending, in terms of their demographics, in terms of their voting, and so on and so forth. I'm not talking about the average trans anarchitty that lives in a squat in Seattle. I'm talking about boomer liberals who still have money, influence, and power. That does sound convincing, that this poor woman of color, who happens to be the Dean of Harvard, who makes $900,000 a year, sorry, $900,000 a year, she probably will. She has a good chance of making a few million a year if she has a book deal, right? The point being is that this can be used to say that, well, actually, even under Biden, even under a hostile Washington, that the right wing is still powerful, that Republicans still have power to gut these poor humanity institutions, and they're gonna take the scalp. Oh, by the way, did you know scalping was invented by Europeans, according to one journalist? Did you see that, Prude?
You mean that thing that we saw the Indians do to us?
Apparently, white people invented that.
Okay.
Because they were saying Chris Rufo, he used the term scalping.
He has used the term scalping.
They're saying that white people invented scalping before the indigenous people in North
Well,
America.
again, what do all inter-ethnic conflicts in the leftist coalition go back to when things get a little tense? It goes to hating whitey again.
Right. But anyways, my point is that prove that, this will be used to justify that narrative. That actually the right wing has power, right?
Well, certain parts of the right have power, or just conservative ink in general has a lot of power. I mean, yeah. The passive voice, I'm a victim. This is only the start of a much greater fight, and it will be used to animate conflicts that will now explode on into 2024's election cycle.
Yeah. And Chris Rufo, he's, that's another thing I don't like, is that he just outright states it, what he's going to do, right? It's sort of like...
well, you kind of need to do that if you want people to invest in your project. I'm going to do X, okay? Right. You kind of need that.
Well, there was something that Wyram Hatcher said. She's not wrong about powerful networks.
Yeah, there's a section of the right.
No, but there was something. I'm scrolling up. He said that. That was important. I wanted to come back to. Oh my God.
Just keep scrolling. So yeah, that was the op-ed. That was what was said. Weaponized right-wing autism. That is true. There was, the whole Chris Burnett thing too. Like, apparently he was on this long before the October stuff. So, there are people that were like, hey, like, isn't this a little sad that, like, one of the most prestigious institutions ever is, and I know he's not really right-wing. No, Chris has made it openly clear that he is what he's described himself as, a colorblind old school liberal.
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to all the other discussions about HBD and everything else. Yeah, it was a really well written article. I know. I want to know, because I know Claudine. Oh, not you. That is a well written article. Because I don't think Claudine wrote it.
Right. But there was something you highlighted that Wyram Hatcher said that I wanted to discuss.
Either find it or. Jesus, I hate it when this shit happens, because now I'm scrolling and now we're wasting airtime.
I know. I'm sorry we're wasting people's time here, but there was an insightful thing about.
About Rufo's delegitimization of IVs doesn't legitimize us. Yeah.
Yes, there you go. That one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hatcher kindly put it back up on down here below. Yeah.
About Rufo's delegitimization. Yes.
Of the IVs.
Yes. I wanted to discuss that for a moment.
Yeah,
that is the truth. Okay, so the problem is that it might have an opposite effect of what Chris Rufo intends. Because this is a problem that conservatives had, that I've observed since like 2015. Conservatives have when it comes to academia, is that by attacking individual players, it will just it won't create a chilling effect per se. It will just strengthen that resistance by cleaning up a few loose ends. Or maybe they might have a better system and they'll be like, you know what? Gosh golly, Chris Rufo, you're kind of right. You're kind of right. We really have to enforce standards better. And we're going to have a program that's going to cost millions of dollars to enforce standards better. Right? So your W, and people have been saying, like, half the right doesn't want to take a W. That W will easily be turned into an L, because years down the road, people are going to say, these right wingers, they actually do just hate black people, because you know what? We got rid of the bugs in the system. We took Chris Rufo at his word, and we kicked out those academics that were doing a heckin' plagiarism. And you know what? We're going to prevent plagiarism. And this is a settled issue. So the only reason you're going after us academics is because you probably just really hate black people or women or whatever. So the point being is that Chris Rufo might actually be doing the job of academia for it by strengthening that institution, by pointing out obvious plagiarists. And when they throw out a few sacrificial lambs like Claudine Gay, who's going to make millions anyways, people in the media can just say, why are you doing this again? This is just McCarthyism, because we already addressed the issue.
Haven't we had already accusations of McCarthyism?
No, exactly. 100%. It's already happening. So if Chris Rufo manages to take down a few bowling pins, and they're going to put some other ones in place, and they're going to say, see, these people, they never plagiarized.
It's already here. Braxton Booker, Politico, yesterday on January 3rd, 2024. Was Claudine Gay's ouster from Harvard racially motivated?
There you go. No, I mean, already people are saying that. So unless the right wing wants to admit its true intention, where it's like, no, we want to take over the university system. We want a regime where we can gut the institutions of ideologues that are against us. Unless you say that, I mean, this whole thing about doing this,
true. And this is another thing. That, like, you know, the anti-war left type people can say that they only care about killing brown people. I mean, like, exactly. Again, the really awful dialectical wheel of samsara continues to spin on.
Yeah, 100%. No, but that's what I mean. Like, that's what we start off with this with, is that, you know, now that it's pissed off, you know, people that are pro-Israel, now they do something about it.
You know what this reminds me of to some extent? It reminds me of the Andrew Young affair.
Right.
Because, like, we've conveniently, like, to the left and to also the black community in general, is like, oh, like those evil right wingers who hate the brown man, you know, like they're pulling him down because, you know, she was sympathetic to the Palestinian cause or whatever. And it's sort of that, like, repeat of the whole black Jewish relationship that we've been seeing ebb and flow and fight one another over and over again.
Right.
Once again, I am telling people to read What Went Wrong by Murray Friedman. It's a great history piece on this relationship.
But like, Prude, even in terms of like the temporary victory that's brought on because these browns, largely like ethnic minority students, have like chided Israel. I mean, the fact is that the diaspora, younger Jews in America, they don't like Israel either. So like that's going to be a trump card that's on its way out anyways, because those people, they view it as settler colonialism, that their evil racist grandparents are supporting this evil racist country bombing Palestinians and killing children. Like, you know, those people, they're just as anti-Israel as a lot of those Muslim students at Harvard. You know what I mean? So like, that whole thing is going to go by the wayside anyways in a few years, when all the boomer pro-Israeli Jews, when they either retire to Israel or they, you know, they're so old that, well, you know, the boomers are going to be gone in 20 years anyways. So, you know what I mean? So like, that dialectic is temporary at best. And listen, I know I sound like I'm blackpilling. Yes, I am blackpilling, but I'm skeptical of Rufo's strategy, because in terms of the greater systemic issue of the way that the academic system works in general, that is where I'm skeptical. You can't expect to just take down a few players, because that will actually have an opposite effect. That might strengthen the institutions in the long run. And I think people aren't talking about this, because then the academia itself, the Ivy League, can say, We got rid of our bad actors. Thank you, right wing, for getting rid of all these bad people or calling them out. Because the new ones, they're not going to plagiarize. They'll be just as bad. They'll be worse, in fact.
Oh, they'll just have more sources to cite when they write the latest anti-white tirade.
Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, to me, I don't see this as a victory at all.
The problem is Prude, is that the E-right is addicted to symbolic victories. That's the problem.
Well, because I mean, like there is a greatly, because there's symbolic victories are great pressure release valves. I said that earlier. There's no follow through. We look at one thing and we think that that's it, and we can all go, "Yay, we won!
We did it! We got rid of this black anti-white academic
who still teach." Oh, by the way, they still teach. Yes. Oh, by the way, immigration is still out of fucking control.
Oh, by the way, she's just as anti-white and can influence policies.
And by the way, the federal government is suing the state of Texas for trying to enforce its own laws and sovereignty.
Let's talk about that. I wanted to talk about that. What's happening with that?
By the way, trying to legally go back to the here's the other thing about going back to the 1990s, or saying that like this is the way to go. The response to race-blind meritocracy, we're like, we're still going to hire the white guy anyway because he's the most like meritocratic or the best qualified one. Well, what did we create since then? Well, we just expanded the umbrella or the window of what if comes under the umbrella of disparate impact.
Right.
And we haven't repealed Bostwick. We haven't repealed any of the Supreme Court cases that have expanded the disparate impact doctrine. So you can't even legally go back to the 1990s.
No,
you couldn't.
It's impossible.
You couldn't go back to anything, quote, race blind, or color blind liberal meritocracy. You can't. Not without a severe destruction or outright reversal of about 85 to 95, if not 100% of the civil rights regime in America.
Or if you want like high-tech white-collar jobs, who is quote-unquote meritocratic but also comes cheaper than white kids? Indians. Like in Canada, right? Canada, we had more of a stricter immigration system before Trudeau than America. We had a point system, right?
Yeah.
We still have it. But the thing is, though, if you flood the nation with people that come from a different way of life than you do, that are still putting a huge strain on all social services because you bring in so many of them, it's like Canadians can be like, well, there's like doctors that come from Lagos. I know we're picking on Lagos, Nigeria this stream, but there's doctors that come from Lagos, Nigeria that are driving Uber.
I can't wait till we get like someone commenting in like really bad French saying that we should come to Lagos. It's a great place.
Yeah. There are parts of Lagos that are good, but like I saw that one 90 Day Fiance episode with my mother. Like this guy married this very large blonde woman from Georgia, from Lagos, Nigeria. But anyways, the point being is that there are taxi drivers from Karachi that were doctors in Karachi, right? And so the point being is that like my main criticism of that thesis is that, not to mention the celebs who are, I'm skeptical of the race blindness because contextually, yes, if there were true race blindness in North America, then it probably would benefit like, heritage Americans, right? But the thing is, though, that if you look at Zoomers, they're the most racially conscious generation out of all of them.
Everyone, I mean, this is the whole quote unquote like red pill story, right? Like
you can't just put it back in Pandora's box.
Well, you can't. I'm sorry. Like, and I mean, even John Doyle, who I know some people don't like him. I like the guy. He's he's a good man, I think. And John Doyle is just.
Well, he's made enemies of certain other.
Sure. Who hasn't these days? But
who hasn't nowadays? Exactly.
But his point was like, listen, if you're a young white guy, you're like Gen Z and like younger Gen Z, older Gen Alpha or whatever. They're all like, listen, if you're a young white male and like 23, like you're 18, I have a pretty good understanding of your politics.
Oh, yes.
Because you're already brought into consciously a racially conscious society, like where you are the target from everyone else. It is you versus the world, and you are the least white generation in America. Like, yeah, you're going to get you're going to have some racially connotative understanding of who you are in comparison to everyone
now,
else.
of course, the whites among Gen Z who are on the right wing, they are racially conscious, but they just can't state it in public, obviously, right? So, like, here's the thing, man. Like, I'm sympathetic because, like, I wish, like, you know, I don't like to. Oh, I shouldn't say that. I'm gonna get myself in trouble. But you know, I don't like to consider myself as like a quote unquote racist person, like to the where I like, you know what I mean by like I irrationally hate people for the color of their skin. Like, I wish we could go back to 90s race blindness as well, right, Prude? Like, don't you wish you could go back to that?
Well, who doesn't want to
Yeah,
engage
of
in the
course.
politics of nostalgia?
Yeah, like that's what I mean. Like, I don't consider myself that. Like, I mean, what is a racist, right, Prude? Like, what is a racist to you in your mind when you hear that word racist? What do you mean? Like, it invokes an irrational hatred, right?
Well,
like,
a race. The word racism always invokes like an irrational hatred of the other. Right, all the usual tripe that we've heard that, oh, I'm a racist because like I know to lock my doors.
Right.
Around a certain like neighborhood. I know that I'm not. I want to get out of Martin Luther King Boulevard as soon as humanly possible.
No,
I guess that makes me racist.
Yeah, well, Scott Man's right. You can be a monoculturist, exactly. Like the point being is that in terms of like an irrational hatred of an individual person because of their race, I don't like to consider myself. But the point being is that you can be aware of difference. And like
racist just means Twitter mutual at this point.
Yeah, exactly. No, but the point being is that even the awareness of difference in this world is demonized. So
yeah,
it's like,
noticing makes you a bad guy.
Exactly. But the point being is that as much as we want this to be true, as much as we remember, well, me and you, when we were kids, right? And it's like, you know, the reality is the world does not operate on any form of race blindness. The world actually didn't operate in a form of race blindness.
No,
it's just that we lived in a society where it could somewhat work.
You lived in a society where like, oh, we you know, somehow like we're on the precipice of like this great progressive moral victory.
Yeah.
You know, like when I was a kid, I remember watching things like My Friend Martin or whatever about Martin Luther King Jr. and like, and it had this like selective, you know, alt history where like if King never won his like victories or whatever, and like Robert E. Lee High School, and it was all racist and shit, and it's just like, oh, so like. You know, the terrible thing that you thought was going to happen where, you know, like that was evil and it made you hate yourself and your own heritage and history. Like again, they get the kids young. And, you know, like all of a sudden it's just racist to someone who hasn't been sufficiently socially engineered. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it really does illustrate though.
But like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't, I like to avoid the cartoonish displays of like, you know,
I don't want to go back to the 90s, but I also recognize that like you couldn't even go back to the 90s if you wanted to. I already said this earlier. You
that's
legally
my point, though. You can't
and physically saying you cannot go back.
Right.
You cannot go back. Now,
but my point being is that, you know, I do admire
how do you go forward
studying. I do admire studying a lot of different cultures and peoples. But that being said, like,
oh, you have to be. You have to study. You have to be. So your quote unquote racism is more accurate.
And I've individually known people of different races my whole life that I don't have a hatred of, right? But it's like at the end of the day, the world operates in a different level now. And it's like people have to be aware of differences. But if one group can't, I said this to Mary Harrington in a recent piece about Gen Z being racially aware. I said, the problem is if one group is forced to be judged upon this quote unquote color blindness, but everyone else gets to enact their own ethno-narcissism, the whole schemata is not going to work because that's what we have nowadays. And so in the extent that, and I'll mention it, the extent that BAP says that he is correct in the one sense that the average white person,
realistically speaking, that the average voter and the average mainstream
has no stomach for racial thinking. White people is
even if they do, it's all coded.
Yes, it has to be. Yeah,
the closest you get is Lee Atwater, right? You know, like I mean, on one hand,
Helen Andrews. Oh, she's actually probably a bit over the line.
Well, Helen Andrews has said very openly, I'm going to say it until it's blue in the face. It's not ideology, it's demographics, which is true.
Right.
However, I again, because of the nature of demographics and the nature of how the left is going, much to the dismay of some liberals I know, they're like, listen, white identity politics is inevitable.
Yeah.
Is that going to turn into a leftist win for them? Who knows? I don't know.
Right.
But
right.
it is what is going to happen, however, is that, white Trump ran on immigration, right, in 2016. Like, some are good people, sure, but no, he spoke to sort of the American id that, like, actually, no, some of these people suck and are criminals.
Yeah,
and,
we don't want them to live.
We don't want them
then.
here,
Yeah.
and I think that's a good thing.
No, but that's what I mean. Like, I mean, in a sense, Trump. You read that Thule-Tide telegram.
I did. I did.
In a sense, Trump still.
But I read everybody.
Me too. Yeah. No, but in a sense, Trump, he did initially. He himself expressed this form of like colorblindness of like, I'm a businessman from New York and I deal with different people all the time. But at the same time, what did he come out with at the beginning of the campaign? Muslim ban, build the wall 10 feet higher. Mexicans, I'm sure some of them are good people, but it's like, you know what I mean? Like, he did bring a level of like, things are changing in America.
So
the average white person can't think of themselves as like this postmodern individual.
So Van Jones was right. He was a white lash.
He was a white lash, 100%. Yeah,
which I don't have a problem with that being
no,
said.
Of course, no. But the point being is that a lot of white people in America, in particular, still think of themselves as like this.
I think
postmodern individual.
I think that you can probably accomplish this.
Oh yeah, no, and that's what I mean. BAP is partially correct. You could go a long way with like anti-racial, colorblind policies. Like, certainly attacking DEI.
Does the word white make it harder to deal with? Yes and no. If you live elsewhere in like England or something like that, I think that you can say that you're English. Yes. And that there is a strong cultural heritage connection to English.
But you know what's so crazy though?
But in America, you get white.
Yes.
Like, if you're elsewhere, you're English. Yeah. You're Irish. But ethnicity in America has been so diluted due to waves of European immigration that, I know some German Americans, I know some Swedes, I know some English, I know some French, Anglo-Irish, like me. Yeah. But like, we're also intermingled as white people. Like, you're just white at this point. You are American. But it's also but if you're in like England or something like that, I think you should use English. There is power to the word English.
Yeah.
There is power to the word, I am from England. I am an Englishman. In America, not so much.
What's crazy though?
You have regional identities. Like, the one place that kind of has the most, coincidentally, is the South. And who hates? Why is it that every third worldist that comes into America that starts like getting a cozy job with like the Heritage Foundation?
They have a General Sherman.
They have a General Sherman PFP with the laser eye saying, "We'll do it again, traitor." I'm like, your parents weren't even like born yet in America when General Sherman burned down Atlanta. Shut the fuck up. But that's a problem that the United States has. But like,
General Sherman didn't even hate Southerners.
The South does have. I mean, that's again like. Also, this is the Reconstruction election. Like, we're using 14th Amendment clauses that have never been used in the history of American legal jurisprudence with elections. We didn't even fucking try Robert E. Lee under the goddamn Section 3 of Article or of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. We didn't. But we're doing it for Trump.
Yeah.
And so it illustrates that, we do not want some guy representing a particular faction of people.
Well, let's talk about the election after, but I wanted to get this point in
go for
about, like, here's the thing. It's very funny because in Europe, a lot of like far-right identitarians, they can more or less operate in public with like their real names and faces. And but the law, the greater legal system goes after them. Like, there was that one guy, he was like a politician, but he used to be a part of the Golden Dawn, and they just like striked his party off of the record. But in terms of like public censorship, they don't really care about that. But in America, maybe the legal apparatus, apart from like instances like in the 90s, with Bill Clinton, The legal apparatus goes after you a bit, like especially after Charlottesville, but it's more so like the decentralized network of like activists and tech companies and other factors that tend to unperson you if you're like a quote unquote white nationalist or whatever in America. But in Europe, like people like Martin Sellner can sort of like, get away with it, but the legal structure will go after them. Whereas in America, it's much more of this like decentralized, like Gerardian nightmare of like being canceled, right? But yet still the legal apparatus does go after you as well.
I mean, like the feds have no problem trying to ruin your life.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, this is true.
Like it's not like Janet Reno's days where like, oh, if you were like a part of a gun club and had some like racially identitarian views, you'd be targeted. No, now it's anyone with a fucking Twitter account.
Yeah, it's pro-life groups. Yeah.
Pro-life groups, Catholics, evangelical Protestants, anti-immigration activists. You are all part of a greater umbrella that just makes you a Nazi in their eyes. And so you gotta die. You gotta go. Yeah. I mean, this is why you get that Michelle Goldberg woman, New York Times, saying, actually, we can replace them.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. It's not happening, but it's a good thing.
Yes, the celebration parallax.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, but anyways, my final point would be that it's a complicated issue, and I understand why people would support it, because contextually it does seem like a W, because the reality is that the vast majority of white people in America, they do not conceive of themselves as white. You know what I mean? They don't conceive of themselves. They hate racial terms. They shy away from it. But at the same time, I mean, in the future, things are changing. And like, you mentioned that I mentioned that Thule type post. Things are changing. And Trump, did open up the floodgates. And that's why they hate him so much, is because he kind of did open up the floodgates for the left to see that like the right wing can be something other than like Bush era conservatism, which is like this MLK worshiping, like neocon bullshit. You know what I mean? Like if it's anything more than that, they're terrified of it. And that's why they're going after. So finally, do you have any thoughts on the whole controversy? I don't want to say too much because, again, I don't want to piss people off. I don't want to, one side coming after me.
I mean, like, listen, the average, like, in America, and I mean, and even if you're like pro elite theory and think democracy sucks, if you are an elite and you're selling a political formula,
did you know that I'm against inequality? Did you know the philosophy that is also right
stop? Yeah. We know we're funny bit there. No, what I was referring to is like, it's good to sell a political formula that gives people the notion that they're on the popular side, and that you want people to think that you have the democratic mandate, even if you think democracy is bullshit. It's a great tool. It's a great mechanism to get people to think that they're on the right side of history, right? And on that note, I think that you need to say that you want fairness, or to say that you want people to get a fair shot.
Warren Hatcher said there.
Yeah. I just saw that. Yeah. Like, not even just fairness, but like the chance to get the foot in the door. Like, I don't know. Like, we've done this before. I mean, there are ways to say that, like, there are ways to go about it. And I mean, like, you don't need to be. Not every guy, not every person working in politics, not every person working there needs to be like Thule-Tide or Joseph Brodsky. They're good people. I like their work. That research is interested to me, and I think it's good. But I don't think every political activist needs to utilize, like, I have a study for this. I don't know.
Right.
Because like in our current form of politics, everything is so mimetic. Everything is so simple, breaking down easy points. Maybe you could even just say, like, listen, they're unfair. And that would get people to say, like, well, I don't want to be on the unfair side. But I mean,
at the same time, but then the argument that the left will use is that, what about historic inequalities? You don't realize that there are historic inequalities. That means that no matter what, white people can never be discriminated against. You know what I mean? So it's like,
and that's the same problem that they've been having, which is my doubt. Like, I keep running through this back and forth
Right, me too. Yeah.
In my head over and over and over again.
Because we kind of like been like this since at least
Because
the 1980s. Like this, like
we've been this way since the 1960s.
oh yeah, that's right.
You know, when King Solomon said nothing new under the sun, by God, was he right and divinely inspired?
Like racial awareness among white people was being debated on like Morton Downey Jr. in the 1980s.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, even fucking Governor Reagan, when he was like running for president, or even talking about running for president in 1976, was talking about this stuff.
Oh my
I
god!
was telling you this the other day or in a private chat, but I said, you know, the funny thing about all this is that when he was talking in 1976 with Johnny Carson on the Johnny Carson show, and Johnny, what is he talking about on Johnny Carson? He's talking about the administrative state, how there's a huge patronage voting block based upon federal employees. We need to reduce the size of government, and we need to give more rights back to the states.
Right.
Tell me, out of those 4 talking points, have any of those issues been addressed since 1976?
They've all gotten worse.
And do we still talk about them today in 2024?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we still talk about them today in 2024.
Yeah.
So for the last nearly 50 years, nothing has changed.
Well,
it has only gotten worse.
I will say one thing, though. That it wasn't Bap himself, but it was somebody else that said that, you know, the welfare queen argument that Reagan used was way more effective with white people in America than just to tell them that they're white people in America. You know what I mean? So, like,
welfare queen. I mean, hell, even the word anchor baby was a great one. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, this was the thing.
I mean, I'm not a libertarian, but
during the MLK thing, when like the MLK holiday, this goes back to what Sam Francis wrote back in American Renaissance. I'm just totally screwing myself from any like mainstream job at this point, but who cares? You know, what was Sam Francis saying? The senator that he worked for doubled down and basically said, look, this guy was a philanderer, a plagiarist, a communist, denied the divinity of Christ, made fun of President Kennedy getting assassinated while, like, you know, pretending to screw Jackie Onassis Kennedy. But because of that, the senator got more voter turnout from white people.
Who do you talk about?
The senator he worked for during the 1980s, who was voting against the MLK Day stuff.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, I think it's important to consider that, you know, speaking to your voters' interests is always going to work.
Yeah.
Like, tell me how MLK Day is important when, like, my people can't afford, like, groceries.
Yeah. There you go. People will always, even white people will inherently vote for Gibbs, no matter what.
Well, it's not even, well, yeah, it's Gibbs, but I mean, like, people vote with their wallets.
Yeah.
And, you know, if everything's racist, then yeah, the market can be racist. And I'm tired of the market screwing over disenfranchised whites, and why Biden's like little advertisement about 2024 is, you know, giving red meat to their base, simply saying, listen, you voted for me because I'm the state of exception. And obviously, like those evil white people,
you hate the chuds.
You hate the chuds. I'm going to punish the chuds.
Yeah.
And this is why Dark Brandon is a better marketing meme than Dark MAGA ever will be.
I talk about Dark MAGA and Dark Brandon in my book.
Well, because, okay, Dark MAGA is cool. It's a fun little meme. But the difference between Dark MAGA and Dark Brandon is that Dark Brandon can arrest and kill me.
Yeah. There you go. No, but here's the thing, you know.
Where does this portrays red meat? I don't know. It's older than me. It's older than Geo or I. You know, throwing red meat to the base, throwing red meat to your fans. You know, people want the good stuff. It's like a
really old political term. I believe it even comes from like the 1900s or 1800s or something like that. Yeah.
I'm looking it up now. When did it start?
No, but my point is, like, listen, e-celebs are going after each other. And they're talking, everyone's talking past each other in the discourse because they hate each other for various reasons. And so I will leave it at that. I do not side either which way of Mr. Pervert's thesis. I'm just saying that there's some points he gets correct, some points are suspicious, other points that I'm not sure about. But the one thing I will say is that
we're not going to go back. The competitive exclusion principle.
Yeah.
You know, people just want to fight.
Yeah.
You know, or better yet, people just want to they want to be in charge. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. You know.
Yes, of course.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just comes down to it.
But I do think that is like, unfortunately, we have tried this. This is the James Lindsay playbook.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
well, I mean, who is he more likely to listen to? To go back to all of this, who's Rufo more likely to listen to?
Richard
you and me, or James Lindsay,
or Richard Anania,
or Richard Anania? Who's he going to listen to? He's going to listen to
James
two.
Lindsay. No,
he's going to listen to James Lindsay in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he's not going to listen to Step Warrior Rapist Gripper.
Well, it goes back to that. It goes back to that tweet about what's the word I'm looking for? The whole like the people, like it was someone who works at some institute. I don't remember who. It was probably Claremont, some Claremonter. Who knows? But like, I'm sorry, if you're an online like if you're a content creator, a poster, or a tweeter, you have to have some degree of narcissism to succeed. You do.
Yeah.
I have to be narcissistic enough to A, enjoy the sound of myself talking, B, look at myself in a camera, and 3, be able to compete with other people for takes and opinions.
I don't like to think I'm that narcissistic. Maybe I am.
By the nature of you doing this, you are.
Yeah, but see, I like to think of it like I'm compelled to do this because
you're compelled to do this because you're like the wholesome chungus, like, artistic guy that gets along with everyone. I like to say that I'm like the nice diplomat that gets along with everyone, but in the back of my head, there are a lot of people whose skulls I'd love to break in order to get a head up on these people.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Because you have to, because that's the nature of the game. And sorry, it is. There's a reason why everyone fights each other over this stuff.
Yeah.
There's a reason why some camps hate the other camp and just
There's reasons why the two camps in particular will never get along whatsoever. And
yeah,
it's the way it is. That's why me and you have to start creating a third thing.
On our own, or what?
No, I mean, like, I guess Old Glory Club's a good base because I feel like a lot of guys like we're solid, Like, I feel like there are people that should be like, we should start cultivating some serious and we're friends with serious people. I like to consider Oren one of them. I like to consider Scott Mannion one of them.
Third thing. No, Gio, I don't want a polycule. This is a pretty nice thing going on right now.
No, but you know what I mean. Not third position. I mean, like.
I didn't even think third position. I thought you meant.
You know what? Like a throuple. No, but you know what I mean. Like, I think we should start
the throuple. You say.
Seriously cultivating friendships among people that are more serious than others. And I will leave it at that. So because I think that when you get to a certain point, you have a certain level of clout, it starts to go to your brain and it starts to influence your decisions because you have to go against other people, and it's not good. And I feel like,
chat is the third thing. That's true.
Chat's the third thing. Yeah. No, but you know what I mean, Prude. I think that, you get to a certain point where you're untouchable, or you think you're untouchable, and it becomes this like War of the Titans. And, you know what I mean?
To a large extent, it's a fake dialectic, but
it is a fake dialectic. Yeah.
Even if it's a fake dialectic, how many people are so invested in it to think that it is the real deal?
Right.
Like our dialectics and our subgroups, our little digital tribes that we're part of, much like our Twitter accounts or our personalities, they are an extension of the self.
Yes.
I mean, this is what Jung talks about. This is what McLuhan talks about.
They're more honest in the stuff, actually.
Yeah. And so, like, yeah, you can go forward and do and think that this is a big part of your identity. And to a large extent, from what I've been reading of Tara Isabella Burton's book, Self-Made, like, yeah, this is a huge part of how people identify these days, more than religion, more than, the old school identifiers of class and whatnot. So for a lot of people, the kayfabe is real. This is a big part of their identity. And it's a big project of mine to just really take a step back and recognize how Twitter and the streaming and the YouTube and the blogging rewires your brain. And I still want to. And that's a big focus of what I want to do.
What book is that, Tara Isabella Burton?
Self-Made. Tara.
Just throw it up.
Creating Our Identities from Da Vinci to the Kardashians by Tara Isabella Burton came out this year or last year. Yeah.
Nice.
Based on Dunbar's number, you could argue that nobody's psychologically prepared for clout. Well, yeah.
Yeah, that is true.
You can't play nice with it, though. I don't think you can. I mean, I think the best that you can do is be subconsciously aware of at all times that you're part of something that is mentally like rewiring and restructuring your brain to where there is almost, it's like porn, you know, it's going to screw with your
Oh
neuroplasticity.
yeah.
It's bad enough that when I have conversations with other people who are in the scene IRL, like a friend of mine and a friend of mine at church used to do this stuff and used to be in the game, and he quit, and he's now just he made a new Twitter account and everything. And he and I are like, oh, you know, that make a good tweet. And I'm saying this out loud at coffee hour after liturgy, and I'm thinking to myself, what the hell is wrong with me? You know, like, well, that'd be a banger tweet. Like, I should just like off myself, you know, like, and this is why I did this. This is why I uninstall the app on the weekends. I have to. Otherwise I'd go completely insane. And things like that, I think are important because
it's giving me so much anxiety. Yeah.
Well, it's not even just anxiety. It's just that like,
the fear of leftists finding my tweets is actually real to me. I delete tweets because
I know you do. I know you do. IRL is a dead giveaway. Yeah, I mean, you have to say in real life, right? This is why I try really hard to practice.
That was like this one officer friendly tweet. My GF loves this one where he's like, a guy said, "So I'm meeting my IRL mutual tomorrow." He goes, "IRL mutual, N-word, you mean a friend?"
You mean a friend? It was like that. It was like that tech bro that was like, we should do podcasting, but in real life. And it's like, you mean hanging out?
You mean hanging out?
Getting drinks with your friends? Like, oh my gosh, that's terrifying.
Oh.
Good God. I mean, these are the things that really interest me because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter where things go politically. The technology for social media is only going to get worse. Yeah. And this is what our friend Enoch Powell on Twitter likes to say. And like he posted this thing earlier that like is terrifying.
Yoba was right about Twitter, but was Yoba right about IRL streaming? Think about that. But anyways, let's go ahead.
He said for normies, I foresee a fate much like the crew of the USS Indianapolis, clinging to debris and being preyed upon by unseen monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And someone had posted, and I'll bring up the image because it's from Stable, is the subreddit for Stable Diffusion. I'm just
Do you
opening.
Remember that line from?
I'm just opening up the image. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Because I think this is gonna fuck with people. Verification post, workflow included. This is a Stable Diffusion image of a woman holding an image that says "User your mom, our Stable Diffusion." Not a real person. This person does not exist.
I wish she did. Never mind. I'm kidding.
Is this you like grabbing the mic with everyone pulling you away saying
what? No, okay. I don't know. She's
it's not real. She's not real.
Not real.
What is HBD? It means happy birthday, sir.
Happy birthday. Day.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
So yeah.
Yeah, Fishy's right. We have enough of them in the world. It's people can make fake images. Yeah, I have. I had an idea where there was this website. Yeah, you're right, Cindy. She could gain weight. There's this website that like gives you fake people.
Yeah, this person does not exist.
Yeah. I had an idea of doing like portraits of those people and how would they be different.
Shut up. That's fucking funny.
That's so fun.
Oh man, I'm gonna write that story.
Oh, Jeff's gonna text me right now.
Oh, that's funny. Reminder to remember that the scrying mirror does indeed have a malevolent face on the other side. It really does.
Oh man,
that was really funny, Cody. Thank you. That was fucking great. So I guess
I'll text default that she'd find that hilarious. That'd be like, no, that was pretty brutal. No, but do you remember that William Gibson quote from the beginning of the documentary where he was describing a bit from Neuromancer about like, these like people that become like hideous growths in their couches where they're surrounded by screens and the screens become them. They're it's like screens are like
or just as much that.
Yeah. Like the screen becomes an appendage, right? But I guess the greater point would be that whether you want to agree with all these different takes from people, it's like you have to realize that behind them, there is something, right? That there is a persona there that reifies all the dispositions and all of the takes and all of the ways you interact with other people, right? That we don't know what a man's heart is. We don't know why they put something out there. People in the chat don't know why we put. I mean, I like to think that I'm an open book, but there are people that do have agendas. I don't mean they're fads necessarily. I'm not saying anybody in particular that it's a fad or they're working for the government, they're Theo Bucks or whatever. I'm just saying that people may have an own agenda that they set for themselves when they gain a sufficient voice that is sufficiently large in the online world, in the wired, right? And you don't know that agenda. You don't know my agenda. My agenda is to sell my book next year. But, really.
Am I narrating that thing still or what?
Yes, of course you are. When it's edited, finally.
That's fine.
My point being is that
our friend Enoch told me that he's sending something to Passage Price, so I have to fucking narrate it for him.
So
I'm like, oh, great.
No, Gio, I know exactly why you say everything you do. Okay, maybe.
I think at the end of the day, right? This was something that Oliver said to me the other day.
There's one point I will say though. There is one point I will say that was a good reply.
Some people are feds, but some feds are good. That was the joke Oliver and I were making the other day.
Oh boy, but there was one reply that someone replied to BAP with, saying that, BAP, like me and you and everybody else, we don't have political power, but in the sphere, some people do have power. So instead of thinking like, politicians have our ear, think of like what we can influence in our sphere. And so to say that like, well, HBD is losing, blah, 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 like that's kind of like, that's a shock, because the orthodoxy in the E-right has been that
it's been built on it.
It's been built on that. And HBD doesn't just extend to race. It extends to gender, extends to class, extends to, personal physiognomy and so forth. So it's like, it's an all-encompassing thing, right? So to question it, like me, I'm not as HBD pilled as a lot of other people are, but you know what I mean? So, but at the same time, like there are just realities of human difference that you have to contend with, that the E-right has been built up on for decades now. Very early Usenet right-wing servers were talking about human biodiversity. Steve Saylor and Moldbug were there. So people could read those blog posts from Steve Saylor back in like 2007, right?
You can read his arguments with what's his name from Freakonomics about abortion.
Yeah, and full disclosure, I am not the big fan of Steve Saylor, but I'm not a big fan of Steve Saylor because of his other takes, because it was like boomer, when he stays out of his lane, he's kind of, I don't know, he's got a few cringe takes here and there. But that being said, I'm not denigrating his work though. It's just that I have disagreements with him on other things besides what his specialty is. But that being said, that's like these things, we're going to be debating them, put it this way. We're going to be debating these things for a long time, I feel. That's my one prediction, for maybe a few more decades, if not more. So, I don't know what to say, Prude. Take everything you read with a grain of salt from all sides of this thing of ours and beyond this thing of ours in the online world. That's what that would be my New Year's message. Take things with a grain of salt, Even me and Prude have agendas too, We want this show to succeed.
I'm just trying to get. I just want to get hired. I want a sinecure. That's what I'm here for. I joke.
My book.
I joke, but I mean, at the end of the day, I've told people. I'm sorry, chat's making me laugh. At the end of the day, and I've told people this a long time. A lot of my focus has just been on how do you manage in this like crazy world where you're permanently connected to a scrying mirror, as some people like to call it. I don't know. That part really does matter to me because I know how it affects my brain. And it's crazy to think that a few years ago, I wasn't doing this. Mm-hmm. And I've been blessed with the following and the financial support by all of you. That's a crazy thing to think about. I'm still blown away. And someone mentioned Dunbar's number earlier. I always find it to be insane that someone like Geo or I, who are regular people for all intents and purposes.
Well, I
And
wouldn't go that far, but
we're normal, Geo. We're normal. If you don't consider yourself as normal, like, whew.
yeah. Well, I'm not normal for a number of reasons. I feel like, but anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, John D used an obsidian mirror to commune with angels. Now everyone has one. Well, I don't think we're talking to angels right now. Sometimes I see demons all the time on Twitter.com. Just look at Ayaya girl in the birthday orgy.
We should do a Forrest Gump stream. My old man fucking hates Forrest Gump. But anyways, yeah, go.
Why would we talk about Forrest Gump?
It kind of was a subversive film when you think about it.
Two stories. the Ballad of Two Retards, Forrest Gump. But like, yeah, no.
Jenny was the real villain in that one.
Subversive histrionics is what it is. Yeah. But no, I mean, like at the end of the day, right? Like, I do not see things getting better. And I've already made my case that we're in some sort of civilizational and genetic bottleneck. It's beginning. I want people to find the best mechanisms to survive. That's my big message for you. And in 2024, I know despite a lot of people having optimism that like we're so back with 2024.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it's going to be pretty bad, actually.
But that's what I mean. I think the legitimate criticism that people have made is that, if you did want to go back to like a James Lindsay strategy, that would kind of be disarming people, especially younger people that are in for a very vicious,
this is why I don't do a lot of media criticism on the show. It's just that like Devin is probably one of my favorites. Although I have to consume him in short, controlled bursts because I can't. He lives up to
a good series on Timothy McVeigh.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Yes, he does. He's a good series on a lot of things. Devin's great, but he lives up to his name about being blackpilled, and I cannot. I can only consume so much straight through. Like I can listen to like 30 Morgoth essays in a row about how like shit things are, but like some Devin Stack streams, I'm like, I gotta take a break real quick.
I mean, when I do media stuff, when I do film reviews and content minded, I like to pick films that I think they're not like blackpilling, but I praise them. Films that I feel are good. Maybe I should do a film I feel is bad. Like I remember way back in the day, I wrote a review of Paper Towns that I remember my editor at the time for the magazine I was writing for. He said like, Geo, I'm not going to publish this. This is just too bad. It's like, you want to stab this film with a knife. It's not your voice, Geo. It's not your voice. And so I'm like, okay,
I do want us to talk about True Detective though.
All right, we'll do that.
I did spend a weekend watching all three.
There's also this article on young adult literature I feel that you'd find very good, Prude, that we could review.
You'd have to send it my way. Yeah, we haven't reviewed an article in like 4 or 5 episodes. And don't you love it when the audience makes us, like when we review an article for the audience and we barely do it?
Oh, let's talk about I hope we didn't piss off too many E-celebs, Prude.
I don't think so.
Oh, I mean, me neither.
I mean,
because here's the thing.
I try really hard to be diplomatic as much as humanly possible.
Well, there's even people that are on.
I'm agreeable to a degree of that being a weakness. And
there's even good people like even in the Fuentes camp that like there's that Endermax guy. He's pretty good. We're mutuals.
I don't know him well enough to have an opinion.
He's all right guy. He's a family man. He talked about me once on the Ace stream about who could be a potential bridge, but I unfortunately feel like for many reasons those two sides are going to be in a war forever.
Oh, probably.
Yeah, but no, anyways, that's what I mean. Like it's like as much as I have my disagreements, I wish I was I wish I was an anon, because sometimes I wish I could voice my public disagreements with people. But yeah, shout out to Piffinard, my good friend Jack Piff. But anyways, let's talk about there's not much to talk about. There's not much to talk about with this. You know why there's not much to talk about this? Because nothing's gonna happen. Because someone mentioned Tom Hanks when we mentioned Forrest Gump.
Oh, the whole
Epstein Island client. Hasn't this list already been out? Or people were just speculating. I don't know.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, is anyone going to talk about its relationship to Mossad? No, we're going to make jokes about edited like clips about Stephen Hawking.
Yeah. That was funny though. Someone put "Rollin'" by Limp Bizkit.
Yeah, it was funny. Don't get me wrong, but like,
keep rolling.
I'm not particularly. He killed him. He killed himself. And obvious connections to very powerful people. Yeah, it confirms everything that my preconceived notions already has. A lot of rich. I know I participated in it. I absolutely know because it was funny. But at the end of the day, I also recognize the fact that, oh, cool, a bunch of rich, wealthy, powerful people are sexually compromised and engage in dubious practices of child trafficking for the usages of compromat and probably has deep ties to Mossad. I know that that's not going to ever really get mainstream.
And American intelligence agencies as
well. And of course, don't forget Alex Jones telling us that the CIA does this too.
Yes.
So.
Oh yeah, of course. Did you see his brother Nathaniel?
I was watching that earlier today, and I will admit in full disclosure, Brother Nathaniel is a very guilty pleasure of mine to watch.
Yeah, well,
it is a very guilty pleasure.
But it's funny because the Epstein Island thing, like, it's a funny meme, and it's very, very elite people that control this world are into very, very evil things. But at the end of the day, right? Is there okay? So this is the problem I have. This is the problem I have even with Alex Jones. And keep in mind, I've been listening to Alex Jones for a very long time. Okay,
I'm listening.
So people that control the world, we know that they do very bad things. They engage in pizza-related activity.
Yes,
but you're expecting legislative backlash in persecution of crimes by these same elite people that control these same institutions. Listen, I don't mean to be like a smug, like fucking Vaush soy jack, but that's kind of like crazy, right? You're expecting the fox guarding the hen house to persecute the fox who ate the chickens in the hen house. It's kind of like
just speak English. Just cut through the bullshit. Just say what you really mean.
What I really mean is, like, do you expect people that run this world to persecute other people for crimes that run this world?
Yeah, there you go.
And you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to happen. So this Epstein client, like, Jeffrey Epstein could, like, maybe the rumors are true, the conspiracy that he's still alive. Jeffrey Epstein could go on the world stage tomorrow and say, listen, I'm still alive. Here are the list of all the people that frequented my forbidden treats on my forbidden island. And nothing's going to happen because of it. You're just going to live in a world that's run by cheese pizzaists.
I really do believe that, Epstein could walk out onto, like, Madison Square Garden tomorrow and tell you exactly. He could do the whole deep fake Trump voice.
He could do the Vince McMahon, the best promo ever that Kennedy McMahon himself could not top, with a villain voice, and said, you know what? I did it. I was the one who, me and Ghislaine, my waifu, we got those little girls, and all the people that run your world, they
are just like me.
Like me.
But again, that won't matter. That won't matter.
And you know what, people? You're gonna take it, because those people still run the world. And it's like there's no counter elite that's gonna drop in Q style, and the military's gonna arrest and execute them. No, it's not gonna happen.
Brought to you by Real Raw News. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
Brought to you by Real Raw News. Do you remember? Do you remember back in October, or was it November, where that one Twitter account, they said that in 2 weeks the military is going to commandeer all of the broadcast signals in America, and they're going to broadcast all of the elite compromat that they have. And in 2 weeks, it's going to happen. It's this angelic revealing of truth.
What Millerite bullshit is that?
You remember that one around?
No, I don't. No.
This was like back in a few months ago. Some Q boomer said that in 2 weeks,
so
the military
the
is
Q
going to broadcast
boomers-
in every radio wave and every television wave in America. They're going to broadcast the truth about the elites.
Yeah,
you
and
remember
like
that?
3 weeks ago on Twitter, someone said Nirubu was going to crash into the earth and we were all going to die in 24 hours. Like,
Yeah.
cool, nothing happens.
Too bad that didn't happen. But anyways,
nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Until Christ comes back on this earth,
nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
We just get one step closer to the end.
Exactly. Yeah. So my point being is that this is the fatal flaw, I think, and this is painful because I really admired and respected the guy. But this is the fatal flaw of people like Alex Jones, is that you're not going to expect justice by institutions that you admit in your conspiratorial system, by definition, cannot produce justice. Like even the military. You don't think generals frequented Epstein Island? You don't think fucking General Milley was probably on that list? Right? And the fact that they were able to curate the list that they admitted, that who's that, like that Kohler that does the Twitter spaces, Mario Nafal, he even admitted like they curated the list. The people that released it in the court documents. So it's like, that fucking generals are on that list. That people that are part of the State Department are on that list. So it's like, you expect these people to hold themselves accountable? You know what I mean? Like, this is the fatal flaw, I feel, of the alt-normie focus on conspiracy theories, is that by definition, they never go anywhere. It's not that they're not truthful. It's just they can't go anywhere by definition in terms of real world political action. So I don't know what to tell you people. I know it's a black pill. I know we're starting off the new year with the black pill, but it's like this whole bullshit about like who fucking, like, listen, I know it's a funny meme, but at the end of the day, Epstein Island does not matter politically. You know why it doesn't matter politically? Because by definition, no action can come from it. By definition. Right? And so,
well, it's like the CC nobody cares meme. You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Unless you're in power, what good does it do?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can expose it. And Kate J's got a point. Unless you're in power, you can't. If I'm in power and I expose something, I have to follow through and destroy it.
Exactly, 100%. Because it's evil. It's evil. So
yeah, and that's it.
Woo! So, that was a big black pill.
Yeah.
You want to start on a white pill? Let's start on a white pill. Is there a white pill to be had?
I don't know. You're in a relationship. You love the girl. I don't know.
Yeah, but come on. I feel like that is a white pill. But like in 2024, all of you are going to get GFs. Don't worry about it.
Gio is on Team Sex Haver. I think that's a white pill.
That is a white pill. But
we are color commentators at best. Yes, and he's just a scholar. You're a part of a large infotainment circle, and you, as you listen to it, are part of that. But we thank you for your patronage.
Exactly, 100%.
And we thank you for the 300 some odd people that are listening right now. We greatly appreciate it.
Jesus loves you. That's a white pill.
That's a big one.
Go. Do we have any more news items we wanted to talk about?
Not in particularly, if I'm being completely honest. I'm sure we'll find something out that we can.
2024.
For 2024.
I wanted to ask you. I know it's a black pill. What's this thing about the 14th Amendment in Trump that they're going after him with? Is there any recent movement in that direction, or?
Trump has appealed the Colorado thing to the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and apparently another Supreme Court of another state has also.
The Secretary of State of Maine has done it.
Yeah,
and she used also progressive passive voice, like she had no choice because the forces of history were upon her.
Whoa!
I had no choice. He was such an obvious insurrectionist, and it's just like, wow, it's rough.
Do you think they'll be successful with taking Trump off the ballot?
I don't know. I
think Republicans, by and large, are probably they're going to stay home in November 20th. Is that when you vote?
November.
No, it's the first Tuesday of November.
4. Yeah, it's the first Tuesday of November. So this month it will be, or this year it'll be Scrolling through. It'll be November 4th, 2024.
What day is that?
A Tuesday.
Whoa!
You just said it. Oh, it's the first Tuesday.
The first Tuesday, sorry. Is that like a legal thing? Like, is that in a constitution, or is that just a precedent tradition?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
You should know about American history. Didn't they teach you anything in American history class?
Nothing
they
great.
Tell you about World War II.
Oh, November 5th. There you go. So November 5th.
November 5th.
That's the presidential election. There you go. November 5th, a Tuesday. Sorry, it's Monday. What month is it? November. You know. They do want to be. They want Nikki Haley so damn bad. It's not even funny. But if he's out in one state, it's over.
If he's out for even one state, yeah, true.
Yeah. Also, we do need to be careful with election talk these days because YouTube is cranking their shit back up again.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll have to be careful.
But that's what I mean. If they did strike Trump off the ballot, I mean, a lot of
it's the primary ballot too. So I mean, he would have to do a massive write-in campaign. But I mean, they want him in Trump. Yeah. But wasn't Lincoln out in a bunch of states and still won? Yes, but Lincoln also did. 1860, yes. 1864, also yes. But also the country was basically at war at this time.
Yeah, that was a mulligan. Put it that in terms of American democracy, that was kind of a mulligan. You know, they're at a civil war at the time. So,
God bless.
I'm sure we'll talk more about this year when the election approaches. But I predict that if they were successful into totally legally fortifying it against Trump, most Republicans are just going to sit home. They're going to be like, you know what? This whole thing about American democracy is bullshit. And I'm just going to sit at home on the first Tuesday of November. And that's what I predict if that happens. Pray to God it doesn't happen. But I think most Republicans will just respond with apathy. There won't be any riots or anything the way they are with the left. Most Republicans will probably just respond with apathy, in my opinion. I could be wrong. There could be a massive riots or whatever, but I'm probably not. Judging by the average boomer Republican, they're probably just going to sit home. Oh, fuck, man.
I won't say. I don't have a prediction for the election yet. I don't.
Me neither.
Anything goes at this point. And, I would go mad if I saw all the things in the world and did not remind myself that God gets the last word. So. Yes. At the end of the day, I have that to comfort me. I'm not banning you, Sulla, even if you asked for isolation. I'm not doing that. But with that, I'm gonna go to the super chats.
All right, there we go.
Before I do that, real quick, I'm going to find a book real quick that we can use as today's quasi-fake sponsor that I always
quasi-fake sponsor, Dissident Soaps.
There you go.
There you go. There you go.
Well, crap. Where did it go?
You can get in gel form. What are they? You can get Mask Off. You can get the Minuteman. You can get Brewmeister. You can get Healer, and there's another one that I used called Crusader. So also another. I mentioned this on the show. Check out Khrushchev. Khrushchev Military Surplus. They're on Twitter, their website. If you want to buy quality, foreign, hard to find milsup, go to khrushchevstore.com. How do I spell that? I don't know. Look it up on Twitter, Khrushchev. We should get them to sponsor us.
Who? Dissident Soaps?
Oh no, yeah, Dissident Soaps, but also Khrushchev. That'd be cool. You know,
who are they?
They do the milsup guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. They you know what I love? I love when they do their little advertisements on Twitter and on and on Facebook and stuff. They have these videos that they do in their office. One of them was where Santa Claus is giving them milsup, but then the guy comes in and he starts shooting at Santa. That was funny.
Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah. Soul salts on the show.
We're talking about Soul Bra.
Yeah, can you imagine if Soul Bra sponsored us? We're
He'd
not
look at us.
bodybuilders,
He'd
though.
look at us and he'd be like, "No,
No.
no, not until you lose weight, and not until you gain weight." That's
Yeah,
exactly what
true.
he'd tell us.
If only I could give Prude my weight, that'd be amazing.
No.
I thought it was a poetic gesture.
No.
No.
Then we would both be just like skinny fat, and then we'd really
that wouldn't be good. That wouldn't be good.
No, but I also did want to show our good friend Owen Cyclops his new little
he
anthology.
mine arrived too recently.
Yeah, Babyology, his collection of web comics that he's done. I think that they're pretty good.
On his kid.
So yeah, great stuff. Highly recommend it. Go
Double Dealer Magazine.
Go support his work. Double Dealer Magazine's got their newest issue out now, and our good friend Mr. George Bagby has his book out on Amazon and on Barnes & Noble. So go over there and support our friends. Publishing is fantastic these days. Go publish books, enjoy. Milsurp equals military surplus. So you can be a right-wing channel and you can be a gun channel. You should not be both for the sake of YouTube. And who would have also this like Eyes Wide Shut shit that we were talking about, like with the whole Christmas thing earlier, and then this whole Epstein stuff. Man, Kubrick was just too imaginative.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, they have all these ceremonies and stuff. No, it turns out they just like grab kids and do terrible things to them, and they're all in on it, you know.
Throw them through plate glass window, cigar burns.
The nice thing though is that the one good news I can end on is apparently they are banning pit bulls into the UK.
Nice.
The one good, I think it's partially because Rishi Sunak is tired of getting terrified of being eaten by one.
Yeah.
But anyways, nevertheless, it's not that complicated, guys. It's just the world is going to shit, and we're here to comment on it. So with that, support your friends. It's always a good time. And we'll start with the, just bully XLs. Oh, that's so depressing.
Oh, no, not all bullies.
Just take all of them.
Yeah.
Take them all.
What are those drill rappers in Britain gonna do now in their music videos? You need to
just stab them.
Stick to Rottweilers.
I don't know. Anyways, let's go on to the wonderful folks over at entropy.com. It is the pinned comment in chat. You can donate there, or it's in the description. If you wish to not give Rasha Mohan a cut of your money, I highly recommend that that's the case. And we'll just start there. Fishy Frenzy for $10 US. He says, Happy New Year. Seen any recently released Kino lately? Napoleon was wrongly attacked, in my opinion. It was Napoleon as unvarnished myth. Have also seen Dead Awake 2001. Strangeness done right with all giving great performances. So horribly overlooked. Have you seen any recent movies, Gio?
No, but I wanted to see the recent A24 film. They did a biopic of the Von Erich brothers. I wonder how that's apparently is it Zac Efron that plays Kerry Von Erich? This is the wrestling dynasty for Prude. How can you call yourself a Texaner, Prude, and not know about the Von Erichs?
Listen, you fat fuck. I grew up with AFN and British television overseas. My idea of watching wrestling was something that it was on if you had nothing else to watch. So no, I didn't grow up with it.
No, but like every Texaner should know about the Von Erich family.
Yeah, and everyone from the Carolinas should know about Dale Earnhardt Jr. Not everyone does.
Yeah, true.
I have been told that the Iron Claw is like really good. I've been told like that movie should not have been made this year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No, but it's funny. I have a beef because the Maple Leafs shouldn't have won against the Carolina Hurricanes. But anyways, they beat the Kings though, and they beat the Anaheim the Ducks. By the way, I have a huge beef. That was the biggest downgrade in sports history of the logo. When I was a kid, when Disney owned the Mighty Ducks, that logo was amazing. It was Daffy Duck in the old school goalie mask, looking angry, and it had the sticks. That was the best logo ever, the Mighty Ducks. Now it's like a fucking D in the middle. It's terrible. It's terrible. But anyways.
Yeah. Okay, on to the next one.
I can't believe you know about the Von Erich family, Prude. How can you call yourself a Texaner and not know about Kerry Von Erich and his father Fritz Von Erich with the claw? How do you not know that? I'm sorry, Prude. I'm really ragging on you. By the way, I heard there was this other Texas news thing. going down about the GOP or whatever?
Oh, just the federal government suing Greg Abbott
Enforcing the borders?
for enforcing the border law, saying that entering Texas to the border illegally is a crime.
And Greg Abbott's gonna fold like a cheap suit, right?
Well, they're in court right now. I think he's fighting it, but Lord only knows how that goes. No, I didn't see a spider. I was just droning off as he's talking about wrestling.
Yeah.
Well, but carrying on. Cinny for $3. You, but no, Fishy Frenzy, to sort of conclude on your super chat. I haven't seen any new movies as of late.
No, but I will. Yeah.
So I mean, I would like to see the Iron Claw. The last film. I can't even tell you the last new movie I watched that was pretty. I did recently watch Harry Brown for the first time a couple of weeks ago, and
well, we did watch both Oppenheimer and Barbie. So,
well, that's true.
Yeah.
You're missing the point. Now, every college president of every university is going to realize that they can get to her, they can get to me.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
That's not gonna happen.
But again, that we've triggered an autoimmune response. Neat.
Oh, I heard another take that they're gonna go after conservative professors now because.
Well, if I were a leftist, I would see what Rufo's doing, and I would go after Hillsdale College.
Yeah.
And I'm
sure there's plenty of plagiarism.
And I have plenty of money, more than the Manhattan Institute bros, to go after that.
Oh, yeah.
They can get to me. Rufo's already said he's going after more university professors. You're just saying what he's saying. Hit me with a new point. Sorry.
I mean, that was an all right point. I don't want to chastise our audience too much, but Rufo said he's like, this is the first. We went for the biggest one, and we're gonna go after all of them.
And that's fine. And that's fine.
Yeah. It's very easy to take a paper and push it through turnin.com. So
yes, it's also very easy with computers these days to cross-reference everything.
Yeah.
Also, you could easily do that with GPT, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cindy for $3 US says, the girl I'm interested in asked me for book recommendations without thinking. I recommended Decline of the West. How over is it? Quit. I
should have recommended something more exotic, like a Messiah Eliade book that is also kind of right wing.
Maybe not go for the autism instantly.
Yeah.
Name a book. Oh, I don't know. The Idiot by Dostoevsky. Something that's a little more readable.
Yeah. Shamanism by Mircea Eliade sounds very sexy to me.
I don't know. Some classics literature is always good to use. Bleak House.
Yeah. The Corpus Hermeticum. There you go. Our hoes love the Corpus Hermeticum.
Yeah, just don't scare the hose.
Yeah.
I actually am autistic, to be fair. I know, Cindy. That's okay. You could recommend Nutcracker.
Yeah, there you go. She'd like that.
Automaton, we're just gonna throw you all of our friends really niche fiction. Actually, don't do Nutcracker because that might send the wrong message.
Oh, what's Brad Kelly's book?
House of something, right?
Yeah.
House of Darkness.
House of Darkness, I think. Yeah.
Hold on, let me make sure. House of Darkness, Brad Kelly.
Yeah, The Sacred and Profane is the best Eliade book.
What is his book? House of Sleep. House of
Sleep. Yeah.
Go get that. House of Sleep. Yeah, just tell her. Yeah, women love cycles. Women love circles. Women love the eternal return of and one more thing. Oh, that thing you said 5 months ago. Carrying back on.
Our hoes love House of Leaves. This is very true. I want to review House of Leaves with Jay Burden one day. But yeah.
There you go. Sam153 for $10 US. He says,
$10.
New Year's Sneed. I'd like to see Dr. Gay become an eccentric Bond villain on a vengeance path. The theme song would be something to behold. Well, maybe she can have a theme song every time. And Herman Hesse. Actually, anything that the Art of Darkness bros have covered, that's probably a good start for.
Yeah, Glass Beat Game would be a good Arho book by Herman Hesse. Oh, Siddhartha by Herman Hesse. Recommend her Siddhartha.
Dr. Gay.
Art hoes are susceptible to young. Yes, this is very true.
And they're susceptible to selective breeding and the birth of philosophy. Jacob, who has a very long name on Entropy that I'm not going to go with, he says, no, the Republican Party didn't print ballots in many states. Lincoln was not off the ballot. None of that Victor dumbass Hansen nonsense allowed. Well, I'd have to look into that.
Victor David Hansen.
David Hansen's probably one of the closest things you get to a moderately decent conservative historian these days.
Yeah.
It's not he's R. Scruton.
You're in a world of Ken Burns soy jacks.
So, yeah. Okay, thank you for your lovely take and your $3. Owen Zaleski for $5 US. He says, "Hello, gents. Hope you're all having a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. Did you guys Did you all get any good presents? Working on doing art, fiction, and poetry for the Passage Prize. Geo, what do you recommend about making art for the Passage Prize since you were a judge? And also, Geo, get entropy."
Making art for the Passage Prize?
Yeah. I mean,
anything really, as long as it's good. I mean, it depends on the theme of each year. I don't know what the theme of Passage Prize 3 is, but Matthew the Stout is judging it. So make something as lovely and as sexy as non-political as you can. Put it that way. That would be
Passage Prize this year is a survivalist's guide to the current year. Submissions close March 1st, 2024.
Yeah, so I would recommend trying to stay away from overt propaganda because I know that Matthew's judging it. So yeah, there you go. Something that's archetypal, something that's kind of mythological would probably be a good bet too.
Yeah, good to know.
Yeah. All right.
Hold on, we're not done. Sorry.
Who's a bigger asshole, a Buddhist or an atheist?
An atheist, hands down.
So a lot of Buddhists can be up in themselves, ironically enough, but yeah, probably an atheist.
Well, and then when they do that, you can kindly remind them that they'll have to pay for it in the next life, so they can eat shit.
Triptych of the Archangels, yes, that would be a perfect theme actually, if Matthew's judging it.
Let's see here. Tim Miller for $1.99 US says the next
$1.99.
They have to go home. So
they
true.
Have to go home. Yeah. I'm sorry, but you have to go back.
I'm sorry, you have to go back. Open the door, get on the floor. Everybody walk the dinosaur, but seriously, you have to go back. Dyslexic Generator for Australia, $5.
Dyslexic Generator.
I love it, and I wonder
$5. Is
it spelled wrong. Dyslexic Generator. I can't tell anymore. My eyes are totally fried. If Orthodox Christians took over Western countries, how will that affect power politics, both domestic and international? Take any Western country. Well, they'll never take over.
No.
They'll never take over for starters, unless somehow the West and Eastern churches unite again. But if for instance, if we'll just take a random example, if Hungary were to become like an Orthodox Christian country, not much would change. Not much would change.
What if America became an Orthodox country?
Would not happen.
No, but I mean, what if?
I know, but if it did, its position towards Israel might change a bunch.
Its position towards Russia would definitely change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam B for $10 US. He says, "Hey, I like your guys' show. What is your opinion of the old Louisiana politician Huey Long, aka the Kingfish? For as much as people talk about him, I do not know enough about him to give you an informed opinion. I know that he was further to the left than FDR was on some redistribution programs, so that makes me a little bit skeptical of him. But again, I'd have to do more reading on him."
T777 has good analysis on him. Basically, yes, he was corrupt, but he's the closest, I think, to a tradition, from what I understand, in America, of like being a populist that has like rightist social principles, but also socialistic policies in terms of economics of protecting the largely white underclass and working class in the South. So, of course he was terribly corrupt. But yeah, I don't know as much apart from what other people have said, like T777.
Yeah, so, and I don't want to give you a take that I haven't read or is my own. So Sam, do you want to comment that a biography, or if anyone wants to comment a biography of his to read, I will happily read it this year and make it happen.
Of course, by today's standards, he's a terrible racist and all that stuff. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Brent Taylor, $4.99 US, says the best response to BAP's HBD thread was by Anne Frank's Fishy Frenzy Groiper. Well,
I believe that's the one I read, actually. Yeah.
It probably was, Gio. Yeah. I mean, this is probably. See, there were some face lord.
What a handle! What a handle, by the way.
There were some face lord political people that were like, you guys need to get better pseudonyms because we talk about your ideas all the time, but I can't say like Anne Frank Groiper or whatever. And I was like, well, Maybe sometimes I get the anon part, but sometimes a pseudonym like, Dave Green or something is pretty good to use.
Dave Greengriper.
I don't think Dave would like that.
Oh, he'd hate that. Yeah.
Luthemplar for $2 US says another trans shooter just hit. I saw that with the Perry High School thing.
What happened?
Apparently the shooting that took place, active shooter at Perry High School, multiple injuries reported, and apparently it was a rainbow person.
But was it another F2M?
No, it was an MTF.
Oh, this time, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Because that would have been a startling trend if, like, the ones that committed mass fun posting, if they were another like F2M, that would be a very interesting pathology.
Yeah, I agree. Melon for $2 US says Indians own every single PC repair shop in small towns. Not mine, but good to know.
You're not in Canada.
They do own the gas station though where I live. Unfortunately, there's this PC gas station where I live off the main road where it's like, oh, why is shawarma being sold in the middle of nowhere, Texas?
Repair shops used to be owned by like lanky,
old nerdy
skinny white nerds, or old white guys, But now it's basically all like in Canada, it's all like Punjabis and Indians over there.
Going to Epstein's Island is like a box of chocolates. You never know what girl you're gonna get.
Oh my god,
that's so
Tom
bad.
Hanks for $5,
probably
by Lou Templar.
Prince of Parma for 14 rand, so 85 cents. Thank you, sir. He says, careful, Geo, stating the wrong date is misinfo.
I think he meant data. Date? Which date was he referring to?
The election date thing.
Oh, it's the 5th of November.
Yeah, the 5th of November.
The 5th. Oh, sorry. The first Tuesday was the 5th of. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see here. Again, he says it's amazing what victory margins you can get when guarding the pulse of the bayonet. Basically, Lincoln.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not. I'm just gonna let that one pass. I don't know how true that is. Sam B for $10 US. He said, I like to think that the future is fiefdoms and little kingdoms of civilization, all doing their own thing. Or I wish it's the case compared to what we have.
Well, that's the patchwork ideal of Moldbug, and other people too. Hakeem Bey comes to mind. People on the left have had this. By the way, people on the left people on the left have had the idea of patchwork long before Moldbug. So, but yeah, I mean, ideally, would society be sustainable like that? Probably not. Would there be greater kingdoms?
Not.
Would there be greater kingdoms that would take power periodically? Yes. But would it be sort of metastable in the sense that it's at least somewhat natural to the human condition to live in these small communities or fiefdoms? Probably. I mean, I think that the one thing the 2000s libertarians got correct was that people like Hans Hermann Hoppe and Murray Rothbard would be that America being a nation of millions upon millions of people, that kind of just doesn't work. But yet their empires have always existed with millions of people. So I don't know about that. I used to believe in that thesis, by the way, back when I was younger, but now I'm skeptical of it because there's always been empires of millions of people. But at the same time, there's always been little fiefdoms as well.
Yeah.
And so maybe a metastable option would be that, yes, there was always empires and there's always been little satraps here and there that are more or less independent. So will we go back to that instead of the nation state? I mean, it could be an option.
It would be nice.
History will develop with or without us, put it that way.
Yeah.
So,
Joshua Beebe says we should start lifting for the rest of this year.
I have started lifting. What are you
we both do.
Yeah.
I have gained a lot of weight in 2023 that I
just need consistency, really.
I am losing slowly but surely, both through dieting and exercise. I would like to, by the end of this year, be in a position to start doing marathons and half marathons again. I'd like to go back to the health I had when I was in college. So I'd like to be a distance runner again. That's my goal, is to at least run at least a half marathon by the end of the year.
I just need consistency with my weightlifting.
Yeah. That is my plan. The book I listened to on Audible was about Huey Long, was by T. Harry Williams. It seemed to have less of myths. Well, then I will consider that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Cinny, we're gonna put you in timeout for that one. Thank you. Patrick Kehoe
for $134 by our good friend Patrick Kehoe. Oh my God!
Well, thank you, sir. That's very kind of you to start off the new year. I greatly appreciate that. It's very kind of you. It's a very specific, a random number, but I greatly appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
It's Patrick Kehoe, so of course it's going to be like that, a random uneven number.
That's true. Patrick, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to start off the new year.
Stuff.
I thought that everyone's Christmas and birthday giving to us was very kind, but thank you, sir, for keeping it going. And then Machiavelli sucks to go for $4.99 US. Eyes Wide Shut is probably a home movie of. Well, I don't know, because like we read all this Epstein crap, and there's just like I think maybe Kubrick had too much of a flair for the artistic and the dramatic.
It is an even number. I'm sorry, I'm math dyslexic, so
you are an even number.
No, but apparently $134 is even number.
That is an even number. It's almost exactly 100 USD. Maybe he did some kind of conversion. Well, it's very kind of you, sir.
Whoa.
Nevertheless, I greatly appreciate it.
Incredible. But yeah, was it a home movie? Oh boy,
probably not. Because he died.
There are rumors that they redacted him over it.
Yeah, I was about to say that the whole meme is the heart attack gun stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know?
Then he faked the moon landing, or he helped them fake the moon landing.
Oh, that's the other book I got for the holidays. Someone was asking about Christmas presents. I came back from my vacation. The first thing I got at church yesterday was from a friend. So I have the UFO Deception from Father Spirit and Bailey, and I'm looking forward to just like reading it this weekend and going through it. Nice. So yeah, other than that, I'll have a Substack out later tonight or tomorrow, and then I'll be back to. I have a movie review actually. I'm going to take into a long essay form. I watched. I was visiting some friends and family. We ended up watching that Don Bluth movie Anastasia from like 1996 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And because I was just sitting there like, this is terrible. Like this is an awful movie, and it doesn't mention communism really at all. And Rasputin's the bad guy, which I mean he's got his own history stuff, but it's just like this is a shit film, and I have a lot to go into it. So yeah. Anyways,
nice.
Gio, where can people find you, and what do you do?
Oh God, I do many things.
Shill your links.
Writer, artist, podcaster. Everything's in my link tree from my Twitter, GiantGeo at twitter.com. My YouTube channel, Giant Productions. My Telegram, which I need more subscribers, is Giant Productions. My Patreon is also Giant Productions. When next week I'll have a solo episode probably out if I find the time. Because I'm almost at the editing stage of my book. There's a few more things I want to write. And Geo's Content Corner on Substack, where you can also get both the free and the paid versions of content-minded podcasts, as well as other things I like to throw up. And that's where you can find me. And of course, I have my Instagram and all that. Everything's in my link tree, as well as the playlist to the Archipelago, and where you can find the Computer Room, to which I'm also co-host with Default Friend. And we have an episode where we interview a femcel, I believe, coming out this Friday. So
I have to listen. Well, maybe I'll listen to that. I haven't decided.
It's pretty good because her and Default go after each other sometime. So it's pretty good.
Maybe the cat fight is worth listening to.
Yeah.
I'll be live later this evening on Pony Express Radio with the Old Glory Club. I'll have a Substack out tomorrow, and then if you're a patron, I have a new episode of Stalin's War up to see early. That'll come out probably sometime next week. And then I may or may not edit the beginning where I just yell at Javier Olivia for no real reason. I apologize to everybody today. Today's been a very long, shitty day. And I definitely took it out more on chat than I should have. And for that, I ask for your forgiveness.
One more super chat.
Last one. Have you ever seen a healthy looking runner? I haven't. Don't do that. Jesus. Okay. One last time before I pop off at people. Right proper. I haven't. Don't do that to yourself. Lift weight yet. Eat meat. Grow big. Good God. Yeah.
You should have just put a colon. Yeah.
Just. Have I seen healthy looking runners? Plenty of healthy looking runners. Because you don't.
Yeah, but when they get older, they look all leathery, and.
That's bikers more than anyone else.
Well,
Not doing that to my balls. Thank you very much.
That's true. But you gotta game some ass, Prude. You gotta, you gotta really.
I'll just keep eating if that's the case.
You gotta get the right nutritional stack.
All right, bye.